Hey everyone, Nate Schomer here, and in today's video, I'm going to break down the science you need to know to teach your dog any command. First, we must understand that everything our dogs do is based on motivation. They're either motivated to access something pleasant, they're motivated to prevent something unpleasant, or the behavior itself is fun. This is what's known as a self-reinforcing behavior. Next is understanding timing. When our dogs do a behavior, we have 1 second to let them know if we would like them to repeat that behavior, or 1 second to let them know if we would not like them to repeat that behavior. Let's say we ask our dog to sit. The moment the dog's butt hits the ground, the timer starts. Within that first second, we have to either give the dog the primary reinforcer, which is food, toy, or affection, or we can give the dog the condition reinforcer, also known as a marker, which is a sound such as a click or the word yes that predicts a reward. If we use a condition reinforcer, we must pay our dogs with the primary. This is the same as money for humans. Money is only valuable because it always predicts a primary. Our markers to our dogs will only be valuable if they always predict the primary. Each word only has value to our dogs based on what that word predicts. This comes from the studies that were conducted by Pavlov. He found that if the same sound always preceded a reward, the dogs would eventually begin to salivate when they heard that sound before the food was present. This is what he called classical conditioning, also known as the dinner bell theory. However, if the sound came while the food was being delivered,
Yes. 3.
or if the sound came while the dogs were eating,
Yes. 3.
they would never become classically conditioned. We have to keep this in mind when we are conditioning our dogs to our markers, again, also known as condition reinforcers. We make the sound, then we deliver the reward. After enough repetitions, your dogs will become conditioned to the sound, and you will then be able to use this in your training. So let's go back to the sit. If you give your dog the primary within the first second, then you have effectively shown your dog that it's a behavior that you would like. But what if you use the condition reinforcer? How long would you have to deliver the primary before you lost the connection? Well, you have as long as the dog is paying attention, such as in this video. You can see I give my dog Ari the sit command. The moment her butt hits the ground, I say the yes marker. Then I start to walk towards my dog, grabbing a treat and handing it to her. And you can see she's focused on me the entire time. And now, even though that reward came way after the behavior I was trying to capture, my dog knows whatever she was doing when she heard the sound is what she's being rewarded for. Once we understand this, then we are ready to put it all together. Let's picture the 4 steps on a timeline. The first step is the command. This can be physical or a verbal command. The second is the motivation. This is the physical cue that gets the dog to do the behavior. The third step is to either mark or reward. If you use the primary in this step, then the process is complete. If you use the marker, then you must move on to the last step, which is giving your dog the primary reward. Now, when teaching this process to a dog, we must start at the end and work our way forward. First, we must find a treat that our dog enjoys. Then we have to condition our dog to the markers as explained earlier. This is known as loading the markers, and it's also known as engagement training. Next, we have to show our dogs what we would like them to perform with a physical cue. It doesn't matter if you're teaching a sit or something more complicated like ringing a bell. You must first find a way to get the dog to do the behavior every time with the physical cue. Once you completed that step, then you can move on to the last step, which is giving the behavior a command. Remember, the command can be verbal or it could be physical. As you can see on the timeline, you can now give the command, follow it with the physical cue, then the reward or marker, and finally the reward if you use the marker. Now, you will repeat this process as many times as it takes for your dog to do the behavior on the command alone. So you deliver the command, and before you're even able to give the dog the physical cue, they are already doing the behavior. Now, it doesn't matter if you're training for competition obedience, basic obedience, or anything in between. The process is always the same. And if you can understand the science, you can master the art. Today we are talking about markers. This is probably one of the most important things when it comes to training and working with our dogs. Now, a marker is a condition reinforcer. It has been conditioned to be reinforcing. Now, we call it a marker because it signifies that we are marking a moment in time when our dogs are right or wrong. And we use markers because it's been scientifically proven that we have approximately 1 second, give or take, depending on the dog, to let them know when they're doing a behavior we're trying to capture, whether or not it's something we would like them to repeat or it's something we would not like them to repeat. And in order for a marker to be a marker, it must predict one of the 4 quadrants of operant conditioning. Now, what are the 4 quadrants of operant conditioning? Well, it's positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, and negative punishment. Now, this is what helps us create what's known as an operant dog. And that is a dog that understands that their behavior has an effect on their environment. So the dog starts to understand that they can make good things happen as well as bad things happen. And when we train a dog this way, we create an incredibly confident, motivated dog that knows how to navigate within our world in ways that other dogs don't. So first we have to condition our dog to the markers. But before we do that, I want to explain what each one of the 4 quadrants are very quickly. This often confuses people because they think positive means good and negative means bad. Well, that's not what we're talking about when we are using positive or negative reinforcement, positive or negative punishment. But instead, positive means adding to the equation, whereas negative means taking away. Reinforcement means encouraging a behavior to be repeated, and punishment means preventing a behavior from being repeated. So positive reinforcement, anything we add to the equation to reinforce a behavior, to get the repeat of a behavior. If we tell our dog good boy or good girl, we give them a treat, a toy, we pet them, anything we add that they see as valuable in order to get them to repeat a behavior. So then what's negative reinforcement? Negative reinforcement is not what you think. It's not a punishment. It's not a correction. Remember, reinforcement means encouraging a behavior to be repeated. So negative reinforcement, we take something away to reinforce a behavior. This means when we turn on pressure, this is used when we use leash pressure training with our dogs, but we turn pressure on, and when the dog complies, we turn the pressure off. That's the negative. If you've ever taken your hand and pushed it on your dog's rear end to get your dog to sit, and your dog sits and you remove your hand, you just implemented negative reinforcement. If you've taken your hands and pushed down on your dog's shoulder blades to give him a little bit of guidance to go into the down, and your dog goes into a down and you remove your hand, you just use negative reinforcement. If you've done leash pressure training, negative reinforcement. If you taught your dog the healing stick, negative reinforcement. Again, we turn on pressure. When they comply, whatever that pressure is removed. Now we have positive punishment, another one that confuses people because they think, how can a punishment be positive? Again, adding to the equation. So anytime we add to the equation to eliminate a behavior, we're implementing positive punishment. If you yell at your dog, not recommended, but that's aversion. A leash pop on a training collar, a remote training collar. If you squirted your dog with a water bottle and your dog doesn't like being squirted with a water bottle. Anything we add, these are all examples of positive punishment. Now, if I'm going to use positive punishment on my dogs while training, I use a leash and a training collar. I always use training collars and never my hands. The reason for this is anytime our hands start to go towards our dogs, it should mean something good. We're adding some sort of value, not causing any sort of pain or discomfort. So hands as corrections, not a good idea. No knife handing or heel kicking dogs. We use a leash and a training collar because, again, anytime your hand goes towards your dog should be happy because it means they're either going to receive a treat, they're going to be pet, or a toy, something of value. So positive punishment, adding something to eliminate a behavior. Negative punishment, all you probably use this on your dogs. This is when we take something of value away. If you're petting your dog and your dog jumps up and you stop petting, you just implemented negative punishment. If you ask your dog to sit and your dog downs instead and you don't give your dog the treat, you just implemented negative punishment. So now, with all that being said, I like to have a word or sound that predicts each one of those. So then we can use those to clearly and effectively communicate with our dogs. Now we have 2 that predict positive reinforcement, and this often confuses people as well. So we have one that's known as a continuation marker and one that's known as a terminal marker. Now the continuation marker, easiest way to remember this is our words or our sounds mean to our dogs what they predict. So a continuation marker, I use the word yes if you've watched my videos. When I tell a dog yes, that just means they're going to get a reward. It just means here comes the reward, you did the behavior correctly. But it doesn't change the dog's circumstances. So if I have a dog in a stay, they must maintain the stay. If I have a dog free from a stay, they remain free from the stay. My continuation marker, or my word yes, just means a reward. Then we have the terminal marker. The terminal marker guarantees release and reward. So if I'm working with my dog and I have my dog in a stay position and I use the terminal marker, my dog is released from that stay and they can come and get access to the reward. So the only time it really matters which marker we're using if we want to reinforce a behavior by giving the dog a reward for something they did, it doesn't matter unless we are working a stay. So if you're not working any sort of stay, you can use either marker and it's completely fine. It only matters when we start to work the stay and we want either the dog to maintain the position so we can give them a reward, or we would like to release them and give them a reward. Now we also have a marker that predicts negative reinforcement. This is going to be our leash pressure. I use the word wrong. I do this because it gives me an opportunity to show my dog what I want them to do in any given situation without having to implement any sort of positive punishment. I use this when I'm teaching the stay. I use it to reinforce behaviors. I use this when I'm teaching boundaries or certain things I don't want the dog to do. For example, the dog breaks a stay, I say one wrong, that pinpoints the moment in time the dog made the mistake. I go back, I use the leash, and I place the dog back into the stay position. And I do that with all my stays. Or if I have a dog that's entering maybe the room that we don't want them to be in, if you have a new infant or your office or the kitchen, the dog walks into the kitchen, we say wrong, pinpointing the moment in time the dog was incorrect, and we guide the dog out of the kitchen using leash pressure, negative reinforcement, not a punishment. This shows our dog, if you hear us say the word wrong or whatever word we choose, then you need to stop what you're doing or go back into the previous position. And then we continue to do this up until our dog knows what's expected of them and they know how to turn off pressure by complying. And we become the pressure when we're reinforcing specific behaviors. Once we get to that point, then we can use positive punishment. The word that I like to use for that is the word no. So I say no before I give my dog a correction. So if I'm using a leash on a martingale and I'm doing a leash pop, my dog does something I don't like. Let's say my dog is chewing on the furniture. No, correction. My dog stops chewing on the furniture, good boy or good girl, whatever the case is. So no means you're going to receive a correction. So we can pinpoint a moment in time if our dog's doing something that is not allowed, and we can follow it up with the correction. And then we have a marker that predicts negative punishment. This is known as a non-reinforcement marker. This just means our dog made a mistake, they're not going to receive the reward, but they could try again. For example, you tell your dog to sit, your dog lays down instead, you go, pinpointing the moment in time, your dog made the mistake, you repeat the command sit, your dog sits, yes, reward. And your dog goes, that's what gets me to the reward. And we do this when our dogs are making mistakes. Now, when we're conditioning our dog to the markers, it's very important that the marker precedes whatever the quadrant that we're using it's supposed to predict. So if I say yes, then that's supposed to predict a treat. If I say free, that predicts a treat and release. That's my terminal marker. If I say wrong, that predicts leash pressure. No, that predicts a correction. When we are first getting our dogs conditioned to the sounds, and this comes from the studies conducted by Ivan Pavlov, he had a tone that would go off prior to the food being delivered to the dogs. After a certain amount of repetitions, when the dogs heard the tone, they would begin to salivate before the food was present. That's what he called classical conditioning. But if you think about it, he just renamed a word, and that word is predictability. Because if the sound went off while the food was being delivered, or if the sound went off while the dogs were eating, they never became classically conditioned to the sound. The sound has to precede the delivery of the reward, or whatever one we're using out of those four quadrants, by about a half second or so. Now, this is another thing that gets people struggling with teaching their dog the markers, and the reason why is they say the marker and they want to get the reward to the dog within a second. When we are conditioning our dogs to the markers, all we have to do is start to move, as long as the dog's watching us, start to move within a second of saying the marker. So let's say you're the dog and I'm trying to get you conditioned to the word yes. I say yes. Once I finish saying yes on the timeline, that's when the second starts. And I have that entire second before I have to start moving, not before I have to get you the reward. So I can go yes, and then start to move. I like to give myself a pause, about a half second pause. Now remember, a second is way longer than what most of us think. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. 1 second is a good amount of time. So we say the marker, and then we have to start moving within a second. We don't have to get the reward to the dog within a second, we just have to start moving. So if I say yes, boom, I made it. I made it within the 1 second. The dog knows the treat's coming. Boom, we made the connection. Same thing with the terminal marker. We say free, or whatever word you're choosing, half second pause, then we move back, encouraging the dog to come get the reward. Same thing with our wrong. Wrong, then leash pressure. No, then the correction. And we continue to do this up until our dog's conditioned. Once they're conditioned, now we can use it at any point in time. And the most effective way to use it is to say the marker, whether it's one that predicts something that we would like the dog to repeat a behavior, such as yes or free, or if we're using a marker such as no to stop a behavior we don't want. All we have to be able to do is say the marker within a second of the dog doing the behavior we're trying to capture. So your dog, let's say, bites the carpet, decides that it's a good idea to bite the carpet. You look over, you see your dog bite the carpet. If your dog stops biting the carpet and more than a second goes by, you've missed your opportunity because now your dog's on to something new. But you do have a whole second. So you see your dog bite the carpet, you go, no. The dog goes, oops, I messed up. I'm not supposed to do that. And then we walk over and we can follow up with the correction. Same thing with our rewards. If I have a dog 30 feet away from me and I tell that dog to sit, and the moment that dog's butt hits the ground, I say yes, pinpointing the moment in time when the dog was correct. Now I start to walk to the dog and the dog's going, oh, I did it right. Here comes that treat. Oh, I'm getting paid. And we give them the reward. We made the connection. So keep this in mind. Once your dog is conditioned to the markers, you have as long as your dog is paying attention in order to get them the primary reinforcer. So this is a good amount of time. When we get our dogs conditioned to the marker, it doesn't mean it just gives us 1 extra second. That wouldn't be very valuable. It gives us as long as the dog is paying attention. So it could be 30 seconds, it could be 2 minutes, 3 minutes. As long as the dog is maintaining focus and they know the reward is coming or the correction's coming, you're going to be able to make the connection. And this is going to make your training significantly easier. And there's all kinds of different scenarios where markers are so valuable. If you're teaching your dog a new behavior, if you're trying to teach your dog boundaries, if you're trying to show your dog how to behave properly out in public, these are going to be the tools, the foundation that's going to help you achieve your dog training goals and give your dog a new level of freedom because your dog is so obedient and does what you need him to do and you're able to communicate very clearly with them. Now, when we're conditioning our dog to the marker, we're going to be focusing on a couple things. Number one, you want to do your best to try to make sure that your marker sound, whatever word you decide to use, always sounds the same. It's easy to think about how clickers were so successful. Number one, the click always sounds the same. So with your voice, try to make sure your yes or your good or whatever sound you're using sounds the same. So yes, 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 not yes, yes, yes. You don't want to change it. You want to make sure it always sounds the same. I like to use 2 words for my markers that predict rewards. I have my yes and I have my free. My yes is my continuation marker. My free is my terminal marker. Well, what does that mean? Because this often confuses people as well. Easiest way to think about what a word means to a dog is what it predicts. The continuation marker equals reward. That's it. Primary reward, food, toy, or affection. So if I say yes, my dog is going to get either food, a toy, or affection. I like to reserve my markers though for food and toys. That tends to be more valuable to most dogs because we pet them all the time. So really food or toys. And most of the time in the beginning, I'm using food. So yes means food or reward. Free, on the other hand, the terminal marker, and again, you can use whatever word, whatever sound you want to use for these markers. That means release and reward. So if I say free to a dog, I'm telling the dog that's the correct behavior, you are released from that behavior, and you can receive a reward. There's going to be times where you want to use both markers. Now we also have a release word. A release word is a sound that releases the dog from the position, but it doesn't predict a reward. And because of this, it's just a release sound. It's not a release marker. So keep that in mind. A marker is only a marker when it predicts a reward or it predicts a correction. So a marker could predict, you did a great job, here's your reward, or don't do that again, no, you're going to receive a correction. So it can go for good or bad. The release word, on the other hand, just means you're released. So again, it's not a marker. I use all done and I use break for my release words. Now, when I'm working with the puppy, I want the puppy to look up at my face in order to get the rewards. This is why it's called engagement training. The more engagement, the more focus you can get from your dog while training, the faster they're going to learn. So the puppy's going to look up at me, I'm going to say yes, and then I'm going to reward the puppy. Once the puppy eats the food, He looks at me again, I'm gonna say free, then I'm gonna move back, encouraging the puppy to jump up and get the reward. During the training process, when I say yes, I bring the reward to the dog, and when I say free, I move back, encouraging the dog to come and get the reward. That teaches them that free is release and reward. Now, once they're conditioned to these sounds, we no longer have to move back. This is another common question that I've had in some of my videos. If your dog is conditioned to the word free, and let's say you tell your dog to down, once you lure your dog into the down position, you say free, you can hand the food directly to your dog while they're still in the down. You don't have to make them jump up to get the reward, as long as they're conditioned at that point and they understand that it means release and reward. So you can hand them the food and they can jump up. So now, what applications or what value is there to having these two markers? Well, the continuation marker is often called the continuation marker because if you're working on a stay, sit, stay, down, stay, climb, stay, whatever it is, you use the continuation marker because you're telling your dog, that's correct, I'm going to give you a reward, but I'm not releasing you. It just means you're getting a reward. So you're able to reward the dog multiple times for doing a long stay when you're first teaching them that stay command. The terminal marker is very valuable for a few reasons as well. Number one, if you're not ready to reinforce the stay, then you use the terminal marker. So if I'm starting to teach a dog the verbal command and I say down and that dog lays down and I don't want to reinforce a down stay, then I'm going to use my terminal marker free. I'm letting the dog know that's correct. You don't have to stay there, you can jump up and get the reward. So it helps when we're not wanting or not ready to reinforce the stay. Another reason that makes the terminal marker so valuable and why I use it so much in the beginning is because it also teaches the dog the faster they get into the position that I'm asking them to perform, the faster they get to jump up and get the reward. And they tend to do it more quickly. Speed for our dogs is based on motivation. And this really helps increase our dog's speed. Now, when teaching these markers, we have to make sure that there is a pause in between the sound and the delivery of the reward. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the food, I'm going to show the puppy that I have the food, and I'm going to hold it by my face. Once the puppy looks up at my face, I'm going to say yes. Then I'm going to deliver a reward. In the beginning, we hold our hands by our face. We know that the dog is looking at our hands because the dog knows that the food comes from our hands. So we get them used to looking up at our face by holding our hands by our face. After we say the sound, you have 1 second before you have to start moving to deliver the reward. Meaning, I say yes, once I'm done saying yes, I have 1 second before I have to start to move to deliver the reward to the dog or the puppy. So I go yes, and then I can start moving, as long as that movement starts before the 1 second. This is only during the process when we're conditioning them to the markers. Same with the free, I say free, and then I have to start moving back within a second after I say free to get the dog conditioned. If you wait too long, then the dog's not going to become conditioned. Or if you say it and you move at the exact same time, they're not going to become conditioned. So if you go yes, they won't become conditioned. Or if you go yes and you wait too long and you reward, they're not going to become conditioned. So it's that window, yes, and then reward. What helps a lot of people is to actually say the marker twice and then deliver the reward, but say it in your head. So go yes, yes, reward, but don't say it out loud. Go yes, reward. So in my head, I'm going yes, yes, reward. That's usually the perfect amount of timing in order to get the dog conditioned to the reward or the marker. Once they're conditioned to the marker, this is another question that I ask a lot of people. How long do you have to deliver the primary reinforcer to your dog after you said the marker? So when you say yes, how long do you have to get that reward to your dog before you lose the connection? Most people say 1 second. That's not the case. If the dog is conditioned to the marker, you have as long as they are paying attention. So if you have your dog 30 feet away from you and you tell your dog sit and your dog sits and you say yes and your dog's conditioned to yes and he knows he's going to receive a reward, once you say yes, your dog goes, oh, I did it correctly. You start walking towards your dog's going, oh, here comes the treat, here comes the reward. He sees you reach your hand into the treat bag or whatever it is that you have. He sees you pull out the treat, he goes, there's my treat, I'm getting paid, and you hand him the reward. You made the connection. Even though that reward came way after the behavior you were capturing, your dog knows whatever he or she was doing when they heard that sound is what they're being rewarded for. You're gonna see how these markers are gonna come into play throughout the entire training process. Another common question that's often asked is, do I always have to give my dog a ton of rewards when training? Do I always need treats? Is this something, if I start training my dog with treats, am I always going to have to need treats when training? No. We start with treats in the beginning. We start with continual reinforcement, meaning we reward every single behavior. But once the dog starts to do the command on the verbal alone, so I say down, the dog lays down without that help of the physical cue, then I start to space out the rewards. I have a video explaining exactly how to do that. But remember, dogs always need to know the WIFM. What's in it for me? Contrary to popular belief, dogs don't do things just to make us happy. They do things either to access something pleasant, prevent something unpleasant, or the behavior it's fun. Now, if you teach your dog that training with you is a lot of fun and they love that, then they will start to train with you just because the act of training with you is fun. But in the beginning, most are going to need a little bit of encouragement, whether that's with food or it's going to be with toys. I like to start with food because we can use luring, we can use shaping in order to teach a bunch of different behaviors to our dog. So let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into this training session. I'm going to show you exactly how you're going to get your puppy or your dog conditioned to these markers. All right, so we're going to be doing engagement training with Spock here. Spock is a young collie puppy. Now remember what I talked about. The sound has to come before the delivery of the reward. So I get his attention, I bring my hands to my face, yes, then I reward. Notice there was a slight pause between saying the marker yes and delivering the reward. It has to be yes, reward, not the common mistake that most people do, yes. You see how I moved at the exact same time as I delivered the reward? If he's gonna take it, it seems like he's chewing the other piece still. So again, we have to make sure that we say the sound before we deliver the reward. That's the only way the dog's gonna become conditioned. So now I'm gonna show you a quick engagement training session that I like to do with the dog so you can see what it looks like without me constantly having to communicate back to the camera. All right, so here we go. Yes. Good job, buddy. Very nice. Free. Come on, good boy. Very good. Oops, we dropped a piece. That's okay. He doesn't know. Yes. Reward. Good boy. Very nice. Free. Movement. Pay attention to the pause. Pay attention to how I'm saying the marker. It always sounds the same. Yes. And I'm not worried about him doing any sort of commanded behavior. I just want him looking up at me. Free. And then we move back. This is the first step. Now, most dogs don't need much beyond this when it comes to engagement training. Yes, but if you want to go above and beyond, or if you plan on doing a focus heel or competition style obedience, then you want to get the dog or the puppy to understand it's looking at your face. Yes, and not just looking at your hands that's getting the reward. So the way that I do that is I start exact same way I would. I bring the food up by my face and then I move one hand out. He follows the hand. When he looks back at me, yes, then I mark and reward. And then I do the same thing with the other hand. I bring that hand out. I wait till he looks at me. Yes. When he looks at me, I mark and reward. Then I do both hands. Yes, and then reward. So that's showing him it's looking at my face that's getting the reward and not just my hand. All right, so we're gonna do a couple more. Free, and then we move. Also notice how I change hands. Yes. Reward. Good. Very nice, buddy. Free. Reward. Excellent. Good. Yes. Notice the pause again. Free. Very good. Now, I like to continue this until the dog becomes conditioned to the marker. How do we know when a dog's conditioned to the marker? Well, the same way Ivan Pavlov knew his dogs were conditioned to the markers, that whole classical conditioning. When the sound went off before the food was delivered to the dogs, they would begin to salivate before the food was present. And again, that's what he called classical conditioning. The four most common change of behaviors I see in a dog that's conditioned to the marker is opening their mouth, salivating, licking their lips, or moving their paws. So if I think a dog is conditioned, I'll get them in front of me, let them scratch, do what they got to do. And then once they look at me, I say the marker, yes, but I wouldn't deliver the reward right away. I would watch to see if there's a change of behavior. Yes, if I see a change of behavior, I know the dog's conditioned to the markers. Now, usually I'll do this for a day, maybe two. Most dogs will become conditioned pretty fast to these sounds. But before every training session, I like to spend 15 to 30 seconds on engagement training because it gets our dogs engaged. And the more engaged your dog is, the faster your dog is going to learn what's expected of them.
Good
Good girl. Yes. Very nice. Free. Good girl. That's very good. This way. That's a 20. Yes. Good girl. Free. Very nice. So right there, she wasn't looking. I messed up, but it's okay. She didn't mess up. I did. Yes. Good girl. Free. Very nice. Good job. Yes. Excellent. Free. Also notice I'm switching hands. Good girl. Yes. Free. Very nice. Reward. Good girl. Free. Good. Come on, baby. Very nice. Excellent. Come on, sweetie. Drop the piece. Yes. Reward. Make sure you're switching hands. Free. Movement. So I'm going to use the right hand. Come on, baby. And then go back to the left. Yes. Reward. Remember to make sure there's always that pause. Don't pair your physical with your verbal. So don't do this. Yes. Even though it looks very similar. Free. Right there, I paired it. So that's the incorrect way. You want to make sure the word completely leaves your mouth. Yes. Before you deliver the reward and before you move. Free. And then movement. Good girl. Excellent. Yes. Reward. Good girl. Free. Movement. Yay, very nice. Good. Come on, sweetie. Yes. Reward. Good girl. Free. Movement. Yes. Good boy. Free. Very nice. Yes. I'll get it, buddy. Free. Good. Yes. Free. Yes. Free. Yes. So he does the pause. He moves the pause. And that shows me that he understands that yes means he's going to get a reward and he's getting excited because he's anticipating the treat. Same thing with his terminal marker. Free. So you can see a change of behavior when I give him that marker sound, and that shows me that he's conditioned. Yes. Good boy. Excellent. Oops, dropped it. Everybody. Free. Good. Very nice. So he's conditioned to it, and I'm going to bring out Ari next. Again, yes. Reward. Free. Movement. Good. Yes. Reward. Free. Movement. Good girl. Come on. Yes. Reward. Free. Movement. So now I want you to get a close-up of Charlie, or not Charlie, Ari rather, and you can see her change of behavior. She's also conditioned to the markers, but hers is a little bit more subtle than Charlie's. Yes. So you see she does a little bit of a movement. Free. And with free, she jumps up because she's ready to get the reward. And I often reward her free, where I'll have her jump up. So it's however you condition your dog. But we want to make sure before we move on to the next step, yes, that our dog is conditioned to the sound. You can see on that one, she kind of closed her mouth a little bit. Yes. She's so cute. Free. And then movement. Excellent. Yes. Reward. Good boy. Free. Come on. Good. And I messed up there because he wasn't looking at me when I said it. Yes. Good. Free. Movement. Good. Yes. Free. Excellent job, buddy. Come here, big guy. Hero. Yes. Free. And that's him offering up behaviors. Yes. Free. Very good, buddy. Hero. Yes. Free. Good. Yes. free. Fixed shaping and free shaping. This is where we're going to get dogs to do behaviors without having to lure them or guide them into the position we want them to perform. The difference is fixed shaping is you have something in mind you want your dog to perform, and free shaping is you don't necessarily have something you want your dog to perform, but you're going to reward them when they do behaviors that you like. You have to make sure before you do either one of these that your dog is conditioned to your markers. So at fixed shaping, this is how a lot of trainers will get a dog to ride a skateboard. They don't have to make the dog do the skateboard. They can have their training room where they work with their dog every single day. One day the dog goes into the training room and there's a skateboard in the center of the floor. The dog walks over to naturally investigate the skateboard, and once they touch it, the trainer uses a terminal marker and the dog runs over and gets a reward. And then the dog goes back to the skateboard and says, "What did I do that made you reward me like that?" And they touch the skateboard again, and the trainer uses a terminal marker again. The dog comes back, they get another reward. And then the dog goes back to the skateboard. Now they have both paws on the skateboard. The trainer marks, they come get the reward. They go back, they have both paws, and they slide the skateboard a little bit. The trainer marks the behavior, the dog comes back and gets the reward. And before you know it, now you have a dog riding a skateboard. This is the technique that I use when I'm teaching a dog scent detection. I'll have a climb command, or a climb rather, that I'll reward the dog for jumping up on that climb, and they'll do that every single day. And then one day they'll jump up on there and I'll have an empty paint bucket or maybe an empty cinder block or something that I'm using for scent detection. And the dog goes over and they naturally investigate the bucket by placing their nose into it. Once they do that, I use the terminal marker, they come back and get the reward. Then they go back and they put their nose in it again and they get the reward. Now they know that sticking their nose into the can is something I want them to do without actually having to force them into the can. I just used something that they were naturally going to investigate as a way to teach a behavior, and then that would continue on to more advanced scent detection work. That's using fixed shaping to get my dog to do certain behaviors. Now, free shaping, you don't have anything in mind you want your dog to perform, but you're going to reward them for behaviors that you like. And this is something I highly recommend to every single pet person out there. This will pay dividends later on. What you're going to do is you're going to have food in your pocket. You're not going to let your dog know that you have rewards on you. And when your dog does a behavior that you like, you're going to reward them. So in the morning, you have your dog looks up at you. Yes, you give them a piece of food. Your dog sits. Yes, you give them a piece of food. Your dog goes over to their bed. Yes, you give them a piece of food. You're being very clear at what you like that your dog does. What behaviors does your dog perform that you like? And they're going to start to learn this, and they're going to start to actively seek out these behaviors in order to get a reward. And this is really what separates a proactive dog from a reactive dog. But we want our dog to understand that their behavior can drive the production of the reward. And by doing free shaping, you're really going to place your dog in a position to understand this. And this is going to be one of those ways in order to get your dog to do a behavior when you don't have food on you. So you tell your dog to sit, your dog goes, "You might have a reward," and they sit and boom, out pops a treat. So I recommend doing free shaping. Fixed shaping is something you can do if you like, but free shaping is something you definitely should do to help create that proactive dog. There's different skills that you want to develop before getting into the real training with your dog. And what I mean is really teaching them their sit, their down, their come, a lot of those basic obedience commands that you want your dog to know. There's certain skill sets we want to develop. One is going to be luring. Luring is where the dog will follow food that you have in your hand, and you can use that to guide them into different positions. Wherever the nose goes, the butt does the opposite. So if you lift up and the dog's nose goes up, butt goes down, you got the dog to do a sit. You bring your food to the ground, the dog lays down. You bring the food to the dog's chest, the nose goes to the chest, the butt pops up. You guide the dog in a circle. You can manipulate the dog into almost any position using this technique, using luring. And when we first start off doing this, all I want the dog to do is to push into my hand. So if I'm holding food, the dog is pushing into my hand in order to get the reward. Once I feel him push, I say yes, and I release the food. They push into my hand, yes, release. Making sure that the food or my hand doesn't release the food, or the food isn't rewarded to the dog until after I say yes. So it's yes, then I release. Yes, then I release. So dog is pushing into my hand, yes, release. Dog is pushing into my hand, yes, release. Okay, that's going to be the first step, and then I can use luring again to teach behaviors I want them to perform. And chasing is using food. So we're going to use our food drive and we're going to use our prey drive to make the training more fun and more engaging. If my dog does a behavior that I like and they're coming for the food, if I cut back very quickly, a lot of praise and encouragement, and the dog runs back to get the food, it's gonna make it more fun, more entertaining. So I really make them chase that food, and I'll throw that in there to kind of get them more amped up and more excited about the training. And I'm gonna show you exactly how to teach both of these. Luring, all we're gonna do for that is we're gonna take the food, we're gonna place it in our hand, and when I place food in my hand, I like to use my thumb to hold it in position instead of holding it at my fingertips. And the reason for this is it creates a little valley for my puppy if he's interested in my food instead of the sticks on the ground. So it creates a little valley for him to stick his muzzle in to grab the food without biting my hands. Good boy. Okay, so that's how we're gonna wanna hold the food. And all luring is, when we're teaching our dog how to lure, we let him push into our hand, yes. And when he pushes into our hand nicely, yes, good. Yes, I'm gonna mark the behavior and I'm gonna reward. Yes, good job, buddy. All I want him to do during the step, yes, is push into my hand. Yes, good. Now he's actually, it's hard to tell in the video, but he's actually pushing my hand. And when my hand moves, I'm marking and rewarding. Yes, good boy. Nice job, my little man. Nice job, buddy. All right, we'll do a couple more. Yes, very good. Yes, excellent. Yes, very nice. Okay, so that's gonna be luring. And this is gonna be a tool that we're gonna use to help us teach many of the other behaviors we're gonna be showing our dog. The next thing I like to do is teach the dog the concept of chasing. All we're doing is we're getting our dog, our puppy, to chase the toy. So we're gonna be using a couple different drives. We're gonna be using prey drive by creating that movement, and we're also going to be using food drive since the dog is going for food. Derby, come here, buddy. Come on, buddy, buddy, buddy. Good boy. So for this, I'm gonna use my terminal marker and I'm gonna play a little chasing game. Free. Whoa, good boy. Nice job. You see how he picks up a little bit of the energy? Good boy. And then again, if he comes for it, I cut back really quick. Good boy. Nice job. Any way that I can move it away very quick to get him bouncy, get him a little bit more playful, and get him more engaged so he's not as focused on all these sticks on the ground. Good boy, come on. Nicely done. So chasing again, I'm just cutting it, boom, really quick. Getting the dog to run towards me in order to get that toy. And this is what we're gonna use to make the training more fun, to make it more playful. The more your dog enjoys training, the faster they're gonna learn. So we wanna make it as fun as possible, especially when you're working with a young puppy like Derby here. We wanna start developing our power steering. So what I'm gonna do, and my puppy's starting to get a little tired, but that's okay, we can still work with it. First, go back into just the luring, get him to follow the food, and getting his head to turn back and forth to his left side as well as to his right side. All right, once we have that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the food and we're gonna cup it in both our hands, and all I'm gonna do is place it up against my leg and I'm gonna pivot around. Yes, and when he steps in the direction that I want him to go, yes, I'm gonna mark and reward. And I'm gonna go back the other way. Yes, good. So you see, by turning, it makes it easier for him to pivot around his back end in order to get access to the food. And this is all I'm really doing. I'm just holding the food and I'm spinning, yes, in a circle to get him to follow the food. And this is gonna help when I start using this to go around the cones, to guide him into different positions. It's just that power steering. Same thing if I have him over into heel position, I'm gonna cut my hand and then I'm gonna pivot around with him right there. And this is gonna help, yes, with our left about turns, our right about turns. And I'm giving him food pretty much the whole time. But it's just getting him used to really pushing into that hand, getting that luring technique down, but developing it so well that you can literally guide your dog into any position using that power steering technique. Power steering with little Charlie here. Remember, we want to guide, first get their head kind of moving back and forth. Good. Very nice. And when I say yes is when I'm giving him the reward, so you guys know when. Yes. Yes. Good. And then we're going to get him to pivot in place. Yes. Good. Yes. Good. Yes. Very nice. Yes. Excellent. Yes. Good. Now that he's doing that nicely, I want to start getting him to pivot in position just using the one hand. Yes. Good boy. And I can also use that pivoting in place. Come here, buddy. Very nice. Good boy. Pivoting to the right as well. Remember, doing this power steering is going to help us later with our right about turn, our left about turns, and our flip finish and by finish. Okay, so he did great. That was a nice little session.
So we're going to do the sit first. Wherever nose goes, butt does the opposite. So we take our hand, we lift up. Yes. Once our pup's rear end hits the ground, that's when we mark. So he's chewing his food. Come on, big guy. Lift. Yes. And reward. During this step, since we're not saying the command, notice I'm not telling him to sit, we could also use our terminal marker. So we can lift, free, and reward. Lift, free, and reward. So again, remember, for him, free means he's going to get a reward and he's released. Yes means he's going to get a reward. Again, during this step, we can use either marker. It's completely up to you. So I'm going to take the food and I'm going to lift up. Yes. The moment her butt hits the ground, I'm going to give her the food. Yes. Good girl. And I'm not worried about her staying in the position. Yes. Very nice. So you see, when I say yes, I bring it to her. Let's see how it looks when I use the terminal marker. Free. Good girl. Very good. Free. Excellent. Very nice. Free. Good girl. So watch her butt. When her butt hits the ground, that's when I'm saying my marker. Free. Excellent. Good girl. Again, making sure you switch hands. You don't always want to use free, the same hand, because then your dog will focus just on that one hand.
Okay, here we go. Teaching the sit command. We take the food in our hand. We lift up. Free. Butt hits the ground. We use that terminal marker and we reward the puppy. Free. Okay. We can use the terminal marker if we like. And now remember, during this step, when we're shaping the behavior, we don't have to always use the terminal. Free. If we don't want to, because we're not giving the dog a verbal command. There's no verbal command, so that means we're not reinforcing the stay. So if I want, I can lift up, yes, and bring it to the puppy if I choose, rewarding him in position. Yes, and he's allowed to get up from that position because I have not said sit. All right, so remember what we want to do is we lift up. When the butt hits the ground, we're going to use our terminal marker. Free. 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 Very good, my man. Free. Good. Free. Good.
Now for the down, a common mistake people make with the down is they'll bring their hand down, and as the dog tries to go for it, they'll move their hand away. What you want to do is you want to go straight down, and you also want to create a cave with your hand. What I mean by that, when I'm going down, I'm doing this. You can kind of see it creates a cave that our dog has to place their muzzle into. And when they go down and they place their muzzle into that cave, it naturally brings their rear end down. So again, we cup the food and we go straight down. Yes, once the elbows hit the ground, we mark and reward. We can use this as an opportunity as well to bring him back up into the sit. So again, we go down, yes, then we reward, we bring him back up once he finishes chewing, yes, into the sit. So I can do some puppy push-ups right here, yes, make him do it down, and then bring him back up to the sit, yes. Very simple. So I bring it down, you see how I'm creating a cave? By turning my hand, the dog's nose has to go underneath the palm of my hand in order to get to the food, which makes him lay down, just like she's doing. So again, we go straight down, yes. Once she gets into position, we mark and we reward. And right now, since she's coming back up into the sit, I can reward that as well. Yes, good girl. So let's see how it looks when I get her moving around. And I like to bring my hand straight down. Yes, good girl, very nice. Yes, excellent, good. When I'm working with a puppy, yes, I like to use mealtime, yes, as an opportunity to train. The key things you want to keep in mind is once she gets in a position, yes, that's when we mark the behavior. I'm watching her elbows touch the ground. If for some reason the dog's back end goes up, I'm gonna wait till that butt goes down, yes, mark and reward. Now, as I was saying before in the previous video, some dogs will go down like this, yes, but their butt won't go down right away. So what I'll do is I will reward them for attempting until that butt goes down, then I'll give them whatever's left in my hand. So I'm showing them, I'm gonna reward you, you're putting in the effort, but what we really want is we want you to lay all the way down. If you have a dog with a lower level of perseverance, you don't want them to quit because they're not getting access to that reward. Yes, and she's figuring this out very, very quickly. She's a smart little dog. Yes, you're gonna see though, the way that you handle the food is going to make a really big difference on how easy or how difficult it is for your dog to figure out what it is you want them to perform. But this is going to be using our luring cue to get our dog to go into the down command. So we're taking the food, we're cupping it. Some dogs are gonna be more challenging than others. He's very easy, but some dogs are gonna have to free, hold it there a little bit longer and be patient with it. Free. Free. Good. Free. 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 Very nice. Free. Good. Free. Good boy. Free. Very good. The next one's going to be the stand. With the stand, I like to take my hand and I like to turn the cup or the bowl, like if I create a bowl, I turn the bowl away. So then the puppy or the dog has to come around to get their muzzle inside, which will naturally bring their back end up. It doesn't always work right away and he struggles a little bit with it. So I'm gonna help him out just by taking my hand underneath his belly, scooping up his back end. So I take the food, bring it underneath, and then I help him out. Yes, once he pops up that back end, I mark and reward. So again, we lift, yes. So I can do a sit there, and then I bring this to his chest, then I help, yes, and reward. Again, if you're gonna help out like I am right here, make sure whatever you're using for the lure comes first. So if I have him in front of me, I'm doing the lure first, which he doesn't fully know yet, then I'm helping, yes. So again, it becomes a predictable pattern. He likes to pop his rear end up and shift a little bit to the side. If that continues, then I could use something like a shaping box, or I could use a wall to prevent him from practicing that. But for the demonstration purposes, it's okay. Again, tuck to his chest, help him out, yes, reward. So that's going to be the start of our stand command. Again, tucking it towards her chest, hoping to get her back end to pop up. Yes, just like that, very good, yes. And I'll reward her for the sit as well. It's still early in her training, yes. So I'm rewarding every single behavior. Yeah, oh, yes. We'll throw it down in there as well.
And we'll see if we can get her to pop back up using the food, the luring. Oh, there was a noise. No big deal. Yes, good girl. It's not gonna be perfect in the beginning, but we're not worried about perfection just yet. Yes, good girl. Come on, baby. You can do it. Yes. Good, very nice. So I'm not having to help her, which is really good. But if I was to help her, if she was having a hard time and the back end wasn't popping up, I would just use my hand and just provide that little extra bit of assistance to give her more of a clear path of what I want her to do. And she's very food motivated, which helps a lot. Yes, good girl. Okay, so he's flopping down. What you're gonna see with some dogs, we wanna bring him back up. And I could even help a little bit with the leash. Come on, buddy. Yes, and then reward. Good. So we're gonna bring him back up into the sit. Good. Rotate the hand towards the chest. Help him out with the leash if I need to. Come on, buddy. Come on, come on, come on. Get that back end up. Yes, and then reward. Good job, buddy. Yes, reward. Okay, so rotate the hand towards the chest. I can help by bringing my hand under there as well. So I'm not using the leash pressure. Then at that point, bring him back up. Help him with the leash. He's trying to find freebies. Rotate the hand towards the chest. Help out. Yes, reward. So you can see I'm bringing my hand underneath, guiding, pushing his legs back to get him to stand up. Yes, reward. So sometimes it'll even help to place your dog sideways in front of you. So then you can do a sit. You can bring the dog back into a down. And then you can guide them right back up into the stand. And all I'm doing is teaching them what each thing means and just giving them a little extra help using my left hand. Yes, good job. Bring them back into the down. Yes, and then back up into the stand. And each time I say yes, he's getting a piece of food because I had a handful of food there. Bring him back into the down. And this one takes a little bit of repetition, especially if you're working with a young puppy. A stand is a more difficult behavior to teach. So you see he did that one really nice and easily. Just after a couple of them, he's already starting to get it. But again, he's a smart little guy. So we're gonna take another handful, guide it towards the chest, help him out a little bit, see if he stands. Yes, reward. Good job, buddy. Let's bring him into that sit, help him out. Yes, reward. And guide him back into the stand. Yes, reward. Beautiful. And when I'm doing the stand, what I wanna do is I wanna bring the food, I cup it again, I rotate my hand, and I bring the food to the chest. See how his butt popped up? So cup to the chest, good. And once I get the dog to understand each position, this is why I do stand last. Because I can go from a stand, or I can go from a sit rather, into a stand. And I can go from a down into a stand by doing the same cue. So tuck it in, yes, reward. Under, yes, reward. Yes, reward. Your hand to the dog's chest, yes, reward. Yes. Yes. I'm waiting for that butt to pop up. Yes. Yes. Good. Yes. Yes. Good. Next one's going to be heel. If you're working on precision style obedience and you're going to do a competition heel, you're going to do a lot more than what I'm showing right now. All we want for this is to show him how to find the heel position. The heel position is just going to be on the left side of my body. So what I want to do for that is I'm going to step back with my left leg. I'm going to use my left hand to guide him into heel position. Once he's in the position, mark and reward. So I step back, there he goes, swing him back, and then mark and reward. This is an excellent exercise to do if you want to do loose leash walking. I like to get the dog or puppy I'm working with, come on buddy, used to going around into heel position, getting the reward. Boop! And then I jump back and I get him to go back into heel position. Excellent, very nice. I'll go back again. Notice how his head goes out this way and around and in.
That's the way I like to get them to find the heel position. The reason for that, if you take your dog, come on buddy, and you have him go like this into heel position, then you're not going to get that pretty flip finish that you want if you're doing any sort of advanced obedience. But even with a pet dog, having a flip finish is very nice. So that's when they're in the sit front position directly in front of you and you guide them around. Come on, you can do it. There we go, and he's got it. And they come back into that heel position. But when they fully understand it, then they'll just swing their butt around to each spot. So I'm kind of helping them out, but you get the idea. That's going to be the heel. What I want to do is I want to step back with my left leg, guide her around, circle her head inward, and then reward her. Now, having your dog circle their head inward is very important for this exercise, because if you circle their head outwards, then that's going to become the default movement that they do, and you're not going to have that really pretty rotation of the back end coming into heel position like that, because we want, when they fully understand the heel position, we want them to flip their body, it's called a flip finish, into the heel position. So again, their head comes inward, I step back, giving her some room, and I can even reinforce the position a little bit more by walking forward and rewarding her. Okay guys, this next step is another fun, simple step. All we're going to be doing is we're going to guide our dog into the heel position. We want to give them a basic idea and understanding of how to find that heel position when we're taking them out on a walk. If you want your dog on the right side, you're going to do exactly what I'm doing. You're just going to put them on the right instead of the left. So when I'm doing with the food, I'm just going to use the luring. Hey, focus, we're training, buddy. And I'm going to guide them around, stepping back with my left foot, bringing them into heel position and rewarding. Good boy. Same thing, I'm going to use the leash to do it. I'm going to guide them around, get them into heel position, mark and reward. I have a video all on teaching a dog to get into this position, but this is something that's going to help when we take our dogs out for that loose leash walking. So again, when we're using the food, we step back with the left leg, we guide our dog around. Once they're in position, we mark and reward. When we're using the leash, very, very similar. We step back, we guide with the leash. Whoa, buddy. And then when they get back in the heel position, we mark and reward. So I'm going to do a couple, just playing around, having some fun, showing you guys what it would look like when you're working training with your dog. It doesn't have to be super serious and structured. We want to have a good time. So if I'm just doing food, I'm guiding him into position, boom, I'm rewarding him, then I'm taking off, whoa, bringing him back into heel position, mark and reward. Again, I'm not worried about precision. I just want him to have a good time finding that heel position. So again, when we're out on the walk, he's going to look for that on his own. And it's nice to do it with the leash as well, so when he feels that pressure, boom, he knows how to get into the correct position. Oh, that was sloppy. Guide him around. Woo, yee. And again, we want to do this a bunch of times, so take the time to teach your dog how to find that heel position and make it fun, make it very engaging, let your dog have a good time. This is going to transition over and make that loose leash walk that much easier. Stepping back with the left leg, guiding our dog around into that heel position. So she's a little forging, but that's okay, it happens. Yes. Yes. The next one is the come when called. So with come, all I do is a little bow. I drop my body and I do a little bow. That little bow brings the dog or the puppy directly in front of me. Once they get close, I lift up, which gets them to sit. This is also known as a backwards follow exercise. What's good about this is I could walk backwards and just hand them treats the whole time. So I'm gonna swing back around this way. And then anytime I wanna stop, all I have to do is lift my hand up. And this is one of the first steps to teaching a come when called. Again, we wanna mark when our puppy is doing it correctly. As I'm walking backwards, I could mark when he's coming towards me. There's different times when we can mark. So I could do this and go, yes, and give him a treat. I could stop and lift, yes, give him a reward. I could even walk backwards. He's eating the food, come on. And just reward him because he's getting the primary the exact moment he's doing it right. This also comes in mind with reward placement. Notice how I'm giving him the rewards very close to my body because I want him to be close to me. If you get in a habit of your dog sitting in front of you and you're reaching out to give him the reward, then that's going to be the position that your dog or your puppy is looking for in order to get those rewards. So we always want to reward them. Come here, you. Come on, I know those other dogs can be distracting. We want to reward them when they're in the position. That's not a good position. We'll try again. He's a little distracted from the neighbor's dogs barking. So that's going to be our come when called. When I walk backwards, I'm just going to reward him up against my body. So I'm just going to walk backwards. He's going to follow me. And as he takes his steps, I'm going to reward him along the way. Good boy. Come on, buddy. Nice job. We can pivot around and go back and forth. And then as we stop, we lift up. Yes. So they sit, and then we go back into the backwards follow exercise. Make sure you don't trip over your climb bed. Good. So we continue to walk backwards, rewarding our dog. And then again, when we stop, we try to keep them nice, straight, and centered. Slowly lift up, and then reward. This is going to be the start of our come when called. Yes. 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 And then stop, lift, yes, reward. And then once we know that we have the dog doing that behavior, and again, I like to get it to where I can walk backwards and my dog is just walking directly in front of me. Yes. Against my body as I guide it downwards. So it's staying up against my body, and that's going to keep my dog nice and close to me, and I keep it center. So I can switch hands too. And I start with walking backwards. Again, this is the backwards follow exercise, but this is going to lead into the come when called. Again, backwards follow. Yes. So we've done sit, down, stand, come, heel. Now we're going to do the climb command. Again, climb is anything elevated. When we're teaching the climb command, it's a great opportunity to also teach the off command. So what we're going to do is take the food, guide them up on top, yes, then reward. Take the food, guide them off, showing them that we got it. Come on, buddy. Oh, there you go. Yes. And we're going to guide them back up. Nice job, buddy. Good boy. This is a good confidence exercise for him. And back off one more time. Come on. Come on. Oh, you can do it. You can do it. Yay. And that's going to be the climb and the off command. So I'm going to guide him onto the bed. Yes, reward. Guide him off the bed. Watch the pause. Yes, reward. Guide him on. Come on, buddy. Yes, reward. Guide him off. Lure him on. Yes, reward. And at the same time I teach the climb, I like to teach the off command. So guiding him off and reward. Guiding him on and reward. Yes, good girl. Yes. 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 Good. Yes. Very nice. Good boy, buddy. Yes. Good. Yes. Good. Yes. Yes. Good. Next one is the spin. All we're going to do is we're going to take the food and get our dog to spin in a circle. You can go either way. I like to only teach dogs to go counterclockwise, and the reason for that is when I have them in heel position. Oh, you can do it. I gotta remember not to give him so many pieces because it takes him a second to chew. All right, so when he's in heel position, I like to have him spin as a way to kind of break up heel a little bit and make it more fun for my dog. So again, I always get them to spin counterclockwise. Now you may find with a dog that doesn't have as much perseverance, they may give up halfway through. If that's the case, just start small, reward right there. And then as he gets better, reward a little farther. And as he gets better, you reward him the entire way. So depending on your dog's perseverance and motivation is gonna really dictate how difficult or how easy the spin is. So now we did the spin. Again, another very simple command. We're gonna throw on the spin. We bring their head around, making a full rotation. Now, some of you guys, if you have a dog that doesn't have as much perseverance, meaning they give up quickly, you may have to reward them when they're partially through the exercise. So you might have to go, yes, and reward there. You might have to go a little farther, yes, and reward there. Because you build on success. And then she goes all the way around, yes, and then we reward her. Again, we want to build on success. If you do this and the dog gives up, then you need to give them those wins. So they know that if they continue to persevere, they'll be able to get access to the reward. So we show the dog our physical cue. Yes. Yes. Again, that's so I can do it in the heel position. Yes. Good boy. Next one is going to be walking backwards. So I've never had him walk backwards yet, so this is going to be a first. When I have my hands open, that means come to me. When I close my hands, that means walk away, or not walk away, I'm sorry, walk backwards. So I'll show you how I do this. I bring the food to me, or the puppy, and then I close and I walk towards him. Yes. Once he takes one step backwards, I mark and reward. I don't have to get him to take 20 steps back, just one in the beginning. So we close our fists, we walk towards him. Oh, he fell. If I need to help him, again, yes, good. So that took a little extra help. I had to use my left hand as well. Yes, good. So he's walking backwards now. Yes, very nice. Very good, buddy. Go ahead and get that piece. Yes, good. So you see, I'm just marking one, maybe two steps at a time. When he gets better at it, we can get him to walk back way farther with less rewards. So let's try again. Close the fist, walk towards him. Yes, very good, buddy. Yes, excellent, nicely done. I could also say, free, good boy. Free, very nice. All right, another very simple one when done correctly. So now all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna close my hand, I'm gonna walk towards her. Yes, and when I see her take those steps backwards, yes, I mark and I reward. Yes, good girl. So I can get her to come back to me, and then let's go ahead and get her to walk backwards again. Yes, very nice, good job, Harley. Yes, good. Yes, a common issue that people run into when they're trying to do this exercise is the dog may try to sit down. Yes, which she is not doing. It's making it much easier. But if your dog does sit down, just be patient with it and try to move your hand, manipulate your hand to get the dog to do the behavior. Remember, this is our power steering. Good boy. Fist closed, walk into him. Yes, good boy. Fist closed, walk into him. Yes, good. Yes, excellent. Yes, very nice, Derby. Come on, you can do it. Oh, you're laying down. Yes, good boy. Yes, good. Yes, good. Again, we can use the terminal marker. Free. Wow, good boy. Nice. Free. Good. Free. Good. Free. Excellent. Good job, Derby. Free. Very nice. Free. Good. Excellent. And that's a really good session with Derby here. And when my dog takes that jump back, yes, I'm going to mark and reward. Yes. Good. I can use my terminal marker too. Free. Good girl. Again, fist closed. Walk into our dog. Free. And as they get better, you're going to be able to start getting them to walk back farther and farther. Hands closed. Yes. Good. Hands closed. Walk into the dog. Free. You can see she knows that when my hands are closed, that's when she walks backwards. Free. Good girl. Free. Free. Good. Free. Very nice.
Good boy. Free. Excellent. All right, so he's doing it really nice. He's picking this up quickly. Free. Good boy. Free. Very nice, Charlie. Very nice. Got a little spin. Free. Good boy. Free. Woo! Excellent. Fist close, walk into him. Free. Reward. Good job, buddy. I got more, it's okay. Free. 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 Nice job, bud. Come on. Free. Excellent. Good job, hero. Swinging out a little bit. Try to get him free to go straight. And again, you can always use a barrier. So I'm noticing he's swinging his butt to my right, his left. So I'm just going to use the banner here. Free. Good. Free. Free. Very nice.
Now we're going to do the center command. Center command is very fun. Dogs usually love it. Keep that in mind if you're going to teach your dog the center command. They do usually like it and they will offer it up sometimes when you may not be expecting it. So if you have a larger dog breed, keep that in mind. You might be hanging out talking to your friends and then your dog comes and says hello right between your legs. So the way that I do that is I keep food in both hands. The food that's in my right hand, I do not give to the dog right away. I give them the food that's in the left hand when they get into the position. So I'm just using this hand to guide them. You'll see what I mean. So I guide him around. He's not getting that food. Then I switch him to my other hand. Now he gets the food. And now I can walk and give him food from both hands. I can also have him sit by lifting up. So now you can see all these different skills that we've been able to develop with Spock here by using luring can create a very fun, very engaging training session.
But I'm going to use that to guide him around, transfer him over to my left. Yes, reward. Yes, reward. Good boy.
The very last one we're going to do is the place bowl. So I'm going to grab that real quick. You can keep filming little Spock running around. All right, so now we have the place bowl. The goal with this, he hasn't done this yet either. All I want him to do is place his paws on the bowl. Once he places his paws on the bowl, I'll mark and reward. So yes, he's so easy. All right, let's get another one. Yes, very nice. Very good. Now I can make it fun where I can go free and release him, let him come and get it. Excellent. And then let's go back. Free. Oh, just a good boy. At first, we don't need both paws. One is fine. Get him to do the other one. Free. Oh, good boy. Yay, nice job, buddy. We'll do one more. He's so easy. Now, there's more that I like to do with this. This helps teach our dog a little bit of that rear end awareness. A lot of trainers also use this to help teach the flip finish. I also like to use this when I'm teaching my heeling sticks, but this is a good starting platform just to get your puppy to place his paws on the front of the bowl. We can have him jump off. Come on, big guy. Go back and put his paws on the bowl. You can do it. There you go. Nice job. And then I like to just get them to pivot their back end, just like he's doing now. And again, this is the very first time Spock has done the bowl here. So again, let's get him to go the other way. And I'm looking for that leg to turn. Yes. Or to step to the side, rather. Get him to go the other way. Just by holding the food. Yes. And you see, he has to change his position if he wants to get to the food in an easier way than trying to really work for it. So you see how I cup it in my hand by turning. He has to turn his head, which will naturally get that back end to pivot. Hey, I'm up here. Let's do one more. Get it to pivot. Yes. There we go. So I'm going to bring it over and let's see if we can get her to put her paws on the front of the bowl. Yes, good girl. Very nice. Yes, so she's an easy one. That's good. And I'm going to keep rewarding her for keeping her paws on there. Very good. That's good. Good girl. Very good. You're such a smart girl, aren't you? Now I'm going to have her come off because I want her to get those paws back on so we can repeat the exercise. Yes. Very nice. So she's a very easy dog to teach this to. I've had some other dogs where they do everything in their power to avoid the bowl, and that can be a little bit of a struggle. But she just places her paws right on it, which is very cool. Let's go back this way, sweetie. And back this way. Let's get those paws on there. Yes. Good girl. Yes. See if I can get her to maintain it. Yes. By spacing out the markers. Yes. Very good. Yes. Excellent. And if the bowl's too small, that's going to make it more difficult. So I like to use a bowl like this one. This is a basic metal bowl made by Kong. So it has the rubber on the top. And that makes it easier for the dogs to have a little bit of traction with their paws. The full metal bowls are a little bit more difficult for them. I know trainers that will also use horse bowls, big horse bowls to start out. Again, a bigger target's going to be a little bit easier, and the horse bowls are made out of rubber as well, so it's easier for the dogs to maintain that position with their paws. So let's bring her around and get her to put her paws back on it. Since she's doing so well, I'm going to see if I can get her to pivot that back end. So I'm going to get her paws on there. Good girl. Very nice. Cupping the food in my hand, and I'm going to turn. Yes, good girl. So she's turning her back end already. Very nice. Yes, good. You see that? That is awesome. That's exactly what I want. Good girl. Let's see if we can get that back end to pivot. Yes, good girl. And we're going to take her back the other way. All right, here we go. You ready, Harley? Let's see if we can go the other way. Don't get too bored. Come on, here we go. Here we go. Come on. You can do it. Yes, good girl. Very good. Come on, can we get another step? Yes, excellent. Again, I'm just going to guide them on. I'm waiting for those paws to go onto the bowl. And it helps to teach the climb command first. So you can see, as I said, some dogs will avoid it. Come on, buddy. Come on. Yes, good job. You only got one paw on there. That's all I really need for right now. I'm going to guide them back around and get them to get both paws on there. Come on, buddy. Yes. Good. So we got another paw. Come on, buddy. Come on, come on, come on. You can do it. Give him a little bit of encouragement. Come on. You can do it, buddy. Yes, very nice. Very nice. Good job. Excellent. Lots of rewards there. Let's guide them back on. I'm actually going to remove the leash so it's not in the way. All right, come on, bud. Good boy. Come on. Come on, bud. Good boy. Come on, bud. Come on, come on. Good boy. Yes. Good. Good job. Very nice, buddy. So you can see he's starting to get it. Come on, buddy, 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 buddy. Good boy. Let's get him to do it again. Come on. You can do it, little man. Come on. And each dog is going to be a little different. Come on. Come on, buddy. And I'm giving him a piece here and there just because I don't want him to get discouraged. Yes. Good boy. He's doing really nice. Yes. Reward. And I'm also going to use the pivoting that I did before to get him to pivot his rear end on the bowl. Yes? Good. So that power steering is already coming into play. And it's good to get our dog to be able to pivot their back end, again, both directions. Come on, buddy. The only difference from the power steering is we're having him keep his paws on the bowl. Come on. Yes. Good. I can help him a little bit. Yes. Yes. Good. Good job, buddy. Now I'm gonna get him to place his paw on the bowl, and I'm gonna use the terminal marker. Free. Good boy. Nice job, little buddy. Let's get him to come back. Good boy. Come on, come on, come on. Free. Very nice. Very nice. So he's already getting it. Good boy. Come on. Oh, you dropped it, little man. Come on, buddy. Come on. You can do it. Come on. Patience is key with this. Come on, bud. I'm gonna get one more good one because he's getting tired. Come on. Free. Very nice. Good job. Good boy, you did it. It's been quite a while since I've done this exercise with her, but you'll see once they have it, they'll retain it for a long time. Yes, and she's already offering it up, and that's part of that proactive dog training that we talked about before. Place. So she knows to walk right on it. And again, if I pivot, she's gonna pivot with me and stay in that sit front position. I can try to go back the other way. Her other direction is not as good. Come on, baby. There we go. Yes. And the reason why is because with her, I mostly did the left pivot because I would use this bowl, heel, to work on that flip finish. Sit. So I can place my dog, no, sit. Place her into a position and then call her heel into heel. And you can see she uses the bowl as a platform to pivot on. This is also a great target location. Heel, if I call her into heel position, I can send her, place, to go onto the place command. And again, even after not doing this exercise for a long time, free, she's still really, really good at it. If you imprint your dog correctly, that first 16 weeks, place. So she went for the center, place, help her out a little bit. Then it really sticks with them for life. Again, we teach them by placing their paws on it. We reward it, so free. I'm gonna show you like when a dog starts to learn it, what it will look like. So she places free, and then I reward. Place, I cue her, free, then reward. Place, free, very nice. Place, and then once we have that place stay, again, we start to pivot around, getting our dog to pivot that back end nicely. And I'm gonna show you her doing this behavior right now when she was a young puppy as well, so you can see how it looks and how they can advance. Yes. Hurry. Yes. Hurry. Yes. Good girl. Yes. Free. Good girl. Yes. So you can see, very simple, very fun training. And during this step, remember, you're not worried about saying the command. Present the physical cue that can get your dog or your puppy to do the behavior every single time without fail. Once you have it at that point, then you can move on to the next step, which is placing the behavior on a command. And a command can be physical or verbal as long as it precedes the physical cue, because then it becomes a predictable pattern and our dog's able to learn. So if you're training a new puppy or if you're following along, you have an older dog, start with this. Get your dog, get your puppy to do all the behaviors that you like by using that technique of luring. You're going to start with continual reinforcement. You're rewarding every single behavior. But once your dog starts to do the behaviors on the command alone, that'll give you an opportunity to start spacing out your rewards so you don't have to give a treat for every little behavior. But we like to start that way. But I want you guys to see what a training exercise might look like with a brand new young pup. So he's over here trying to get into the bag of food. Come here, big guy. Come on. Yay, good boy. And so with him, he's following my hand already really nicely. So I can start luring him into different positions. When I'm luring a dog into positions, I'm not saying the position that I want the dog to perform. I'm simply showing the dog a physical cue, and in this case, we're using the food to get them to do the behavior. The moment they do the behavior, I can mark and reward. Here's another thing to keep in mind. When we're doing luring, we have to let, oh, is this a little high for you? Is this a little high? Come on, you can do it. Oh, uh-oh, he climbed up and didn't realize how high he was. Let's help him out. Here we go. Oh, there you go. You did it, little super dog. Nice work. When we're using luring, so if I lift up, watch his butt hits the ground, I can give him that food within a second of him completing the behavior. Same thing with the down. Any command that I'm trying to get him to perform, come on, buddy. By using luring, we can just give him the reward once he's in the position and we make the connection. However, it is good to practice always using those markers. So it would look like this. Yes, reward. And since he's not in a commanded position, yes, during this step, I could use yes, or I could use free. Free, good job. If I want him to come to me, come on, buddy, 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 buddy. Very nice. Yes, oh. There you go. Yes, very nice. Get him to come into heel position. But this is how I would do an early session with this guy, because right now he's not ready for commands, but he's good with the markers and he's good at following food. So I can start showing him all these cool little things I can get him to do with luring. Now, what I recommend before putting any sort of command on a command, like before you say down, make sure you can get your dog to do the command with that physical cue the way that you like every single time. And once you have that perfect picture, then you can move to naming a command or putting the behavior on a command. So for this next week, all I'm mostly going to be doing with this little guy is engagement training and teaching him how to get from one position to the next using that concept of luring. I'm also going to show him a few other things, but it's all basically going to be luring. So if you're starting and you're working with your puppy right now or a brand new dog, start doing this. Take your time. Don't rush it. Get it to where it feels like a dance, where you start to do something, boom, your dog already knows what you want him to do because you guys are so in sync with each other with the training, and it makes everything go so much more smoothly. Clear communication is one of the most important aspects when it comes to training a dog. Last week we introduced Spock to luring, which is implementing positive reinforcement. And this week we will be teaching him leash pressure. This is incredibly important and we can use it for so many different things, such as teaching behaviors, preventing bad behaviors, and reinforcing good behaviors, such as our stay command. This is so important to dog training. It's like catching to football. It's pretty important. So I'm going to show you guys every little step so you can teach your dog leash pressure and do it in a way that's not only effective, but also fun. Leash pressure is implementing negative reinforcement. Now, when we're using negative reinforcement, the two most important things you have to keep in mind. Number one, once the pressure is turned on, it cannot be turned off until your dog complies. And number two, the moment your dog complies, you have to instantly turn that pressure off. Your dog has to know and understand that it's the act of going into the position is what turns the pressure off. And if you keep the pressure on after your dog has done what you wanted, then they're not going to know what they need to do to get that pressure to turn off. It's very important. Last week, we taught Spock luring, the concept of following food to get into a desired position. You want to make sure your dog understands luring before doing this step. It makes it much easier. And the way we're going to do this is I'm going to start at his level because I don't want to put a lot of extra pressure on him. And sometimes as the human being much taller and much larger, we can add a lot of pressure when we're standing over our dogs like this. So at first I like to get down to the dog's level.
I also like to teach the dog to move forward. That's the easiest one for most dogs to do. And a lot of dogs won't even need the help with the food. If you do have to help with the food, make sure the pressure comes first. Then, after the pressure is applied, help your dog figure out what you want with the food. When your dog understands the concept, they'll move and follow the leash without that extra help that you're providing in the very beginning when you're teaching your dog this process. So I'm going to start by pulling forward. Boom, there's the pressure. Now I help with the food. Good boy. Once he starts to move towards it, come on, buddy. You don't want to jump off the platform. You can do it. There, come on, come on. Come on. I know it's so high. Yes. And then I mark and reward. I got him back this way. There's a, yes, good. Back this way. Yes. So now you see he's just following the leash. Yes. And that's what we want. It's following the leash. Yes. Good. So now that he's doing this really nicely, I'm going to guide him back onto the platform. Come on, buddy. Yes, good job. Notice how each time when he gets into the position, I turn off the pressure. Now we're going to do some puppy push-ups. We're going to go down, up, down, up, down, up a few times till he understands this concept. Remember, the pressure comes first. I like to keep my hand behind my back that has the treats because I don't want to accidentally move at the same time. If you make this mistake of moving the leash the same time you're luring with the food, then your dog's not going to learn the leash pressure. And of course, we're trying to teach the leash pressure. So we're going to start to slowly lift up. There's the pressure, just enough for little Spock to feel it. Then we're going to help with the food. Once he gets into the position, you can mark and reward. We're going to start the pressure again. There it is. Help with the food. Yes, reward. Pressure is turned off the moment he complies. We start to lift up. There's the pressure. Help with the food. Yes. And I will continue to do this until I do the pressure and he goes into the position without the extra help of the food. So we start the pressure first, then we assist with the food. Yes, reward. If you have a dog that already knows sit and down and knows these commands, but you want to teach your dog leash pressure, you can replace the food with the actual command, meaning you could go like this. You could add the pressure and then you could say sit. So your dog would sit and then you could turn off the pressure. The concept is the same. We're teaching him one thing by using something he already knows to make the training or the learning process significantly easier. So we're going to try it again. Look at beautiful. He did that one on his own. I'm going to show you what it looks like if I was just training him on my own. Yes, good job, buddy. Very nice. Yes, excellent. Good job. Very good. Yes, good boy. Very nice. Yes, good. So again, you can see that I apply the pressure, then I help, then I release the pressure, then I mark, then I reward, and I add some praise. So it should be a fun exercise. When your dog gets more comfortable with you doing this exercise at his level or her level, then you can go ahead and stand up. Now that he understands what we're doing, I can start showing him a slightly different picture. I also like to use my foot. If you guys have been following my videos, you may have seen this in some of my past videos, but I'll bring my foot up, apply the pressure, make sure you have good balance for this, and then I help with the food. I like to use my foot so I don't have to bend over a bunch of times when I'm first teaching a dog this concept of leash pressure. So we're going to go ahead and lift up. Sometimes we can talk to them to help motivate them. So I can go, come on, Spock, you can do it, buddy. Come on, yay! Mark and then reward. We'll do another one where we use our foot. Bring your foot up nice and slow. Let your dog see it. And then, yes, good boy. So that one he did without the help of the lure. And that's what we want. So we're going to do another one. We're going to go ahead and lift up. Oh, you're thinking about it? Come on, big guy. You can do it. Yes. Well, we don't want to give him that. That's not a treat. Here we go. That's a treat. Very nice. And we're going to do the leash pressure again with the foot. Yes. So he's figuring it out very fast. He's also a very smart, intelligent dog, and he's learning faster than some other dogs would. So with your dog, be patient. Don't try to compare your dog's speed at learning or understanding of the concept with Spock here. Your dog may figure it out faster. Your dog may take a little bit longer. Whatever the case is, base the training on your own dog. That's a common question that's often asked. How long should it take? Well, it depends on your dog. It depends on your timing. It depends on the reward. There's a lot of variables. So just be patient with it and have a lot of fun. Now, what can we use this for? We can use it for teaching commands. Let me give you an example. So I can tell Spock, sit.
Then I can help him with the leash pressure. Yes, mark and reward. I can use it to reinforce a stay. So now if he's in a stay, if he was to break this position, I could easily bring him back into the position, showing him, whoa, let's get back up here. That was tough. We'll consider that a fluke or whatever. I don't know. Okay, so he's sitting. We bring him back up. Good. So he wants to go into the down position. Come on, buddy. And we can give him that command. Down, and then use the leash pressure. Yes, reward. Sit, use the leash pressure. Free. Good. Down, use the leash pressure. And he's still not that good with the leash pressure yet, so I would wait till, the way that I like to do it is I like a dog to understand this concept so much that I can't even make the leash tight. Meaning I start to do this and the dog's already sitting. I start to lift up my foot, boom, and the dog's already laying down. That's when I really start to incorporate it. But like I said, I can also use this to not only teach behaviors, not only teach the stay, help us with walking on a loose leash, but it also gives us the opportunity to show our dog what they're not allowed to do without having to give them a correction right away. And what I mean by that, let's say I have a dog that jumps up on people all the time. So I have the leash on him, it's nice and loose. I tell my friend, let's say you're my friend, I say, okay, you're gonna pet my puppy, but if my puppy jumps up, all I want you to do is stop petting. The moment you stop petting and he jumps up, I'm going to say wrong, then I'm going to apply leash pressure. Once all 4 paws are back on the ground, then you're gonna go back to petting him. And what we're doing with this is we're using negative punishment, which is removal of the reward. We're using positive reinforcement by petting him when he does it correctly. And we're using negative reinforcement to reinforce what we want by applying that leash pressure.
First, we teach the dog that the behavior is not allowed by using our marker that predicts negative reinforcement. This would be the word wrong for the dogs that I train. Then we would use the leash cue to show the dog what we would like them to do. So wrong to the dog becomes stop what you're doing or go back to the previous position. This is why this marker and leash pressure training is so valuable. We can give our dogs proper directions without having to correct them. Let me give you a few examples. The dog goes into a room that they're not supposed to go into. I would say wrong, and then I would use the leash pressure to cue them out of the room. I would do the same thing for jumping on furniture, jumping on people, rushing out of the crate or the front door or the car. And then we would use the leash pressure to either stop what they are doing or make them go back to the previous location.
Little derby here. I have the leash, and again, you're gonna see that I'm gonna pull in a straight line, and I have food in my hand as well. So I'm gonna start to pull, free, and then I'm gonna reward. I'm gonna pull, free. You see how he's starting to follow the leash? Free, good boy, excellent work, my man. Free, and now I'm not even applying pressure. He's just following it. Free, good boy, this is a smart dog though. Golden retrievers, free, are usually really smart. So you see I'm applying pressure, free, and he's just following it. So he's doing great. Free, and that's what I want. And you also, when you're implementing this technique, you want your dog, if they're paying attention, to be able to avoid the pressure entirely. I don't want to just pull really quick, not giving him an opportunity to avoid the pressure. I want to start slow, free, so if he follows it, he's able, free, to avoid that pressure. And that's very important. So now I'm going to do this sit. So what I want to do is I want to help him with the food, but I'm going to lift up a little bit. So there's the pressure. And that pressure needs to stay until he puts his butt down. It shouldn't be so hard that you're choking the dog. It should be just enough that he feels it. So you can see he's still able to smell the ground and kind of look around. I just want him to feel a little bit of pressure. So now I'm going to help him with the food by lifting up. He puts his butt down, I turn the pressure off, and I give him a piece of food. I'm going to encourage him to come forward, free, and I'm going to reward. Take the pressure, lift up, then help with the food. He puts his butt down, free, and then I reward. Good boy, nice job. Remember, pressure must come first. Pressure first, then the food, free, then the reward. So you see, pressure's turned off, pressure's turned on, and then once he complies, the pressure's turned off. So here we go again, I lift up, and he's starting to get it already. Free, good boy, that's a good job, my little man. That's a good job. So again, I'm gonna lift up. I'm gonna help him with the food. Free, good boy.
Good boy. And if I want, I can even throw in some of that chase scene that we talked about before. Come here, buddy. So again, pressure, free. Good boy. Whee, nice job, buddy. Good job. Get a little bit of that bounce, some of that puppy energy. There's the pressure. Let's lift up. Free. Good boy. And I want to continue to do this until it's almost impossible for me to make that leash tight because my dog is so engaged and so focused. Right now he's distracted, and that's going to happen with puppies. But you're going to see as they become more involved with the training, they start to enjoy it a little bit more, they start to understand it more, you're going to get more and more engagement. So here's the pressure, here's the food, free, reward. Good job, buddy. Pressure, food, free, reward. Nice work, little man. Nice work, nice work. Pressure, food, free, reward. Excellent, good boy. That's a good boy. Again, pressure, free. So that one I didn't even need to use the food. Pressure, food, free. Good. So he's starting to get it. There's the pressure, free. Very nice. Give him a little kiss. He's doing good. Free. Good boy. So you see he's really starting, free. He's really starting to get it now. Once I have him at that point, then I want to start doing the pressure into the down. But I want to make it comfortable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place him on the climb bed here, guiding him with the leash. And I'm going to get down at his level. When I first do this exercise with a dog, I like to be at their level because I want to alleviate as much pressure as possible. Contrary to popular belief, it's not about being the alpha. It's not about dominating your dog. Take all that stuff that you've heard before, throw it out the window. We're working with our dog together on the same team. We're on a team right now, and I'm helping him, and I'm trying to communicate with him as effectively as possible. I'm not trying to dominate him. So what I'm going to do, we got a helicopter in the background. So what I'm going to do, he already laid down. I'm going to bring him back up, right? So I'm going to use the technique to bring him up. Good, he came up, so I'm going to reward him. Now I'm going to do the pressure downwards. So there's the pressure downwards. Same thing as the sit. It's slow, steady pressure. I can help him with the food, free, and then reward. Okay? I'm going to bring him back up, help him with the food, free, reward. Pressure goes down, free. So he's starting to do it. He's doing really well. We can even get a little bit of a close-up so you guys can see what's going on here. And all I'm doing is I'm slowly going to bring up the leash. He feels the pressure, then the food comes. Remember predictability. Pressure is predicting food, so then pressure is not stressful. Pressure becomes something the dog enjoys. Pressure goes down, food goes down, and then we reward. Again, pressure goes up, food goes up. He does the behavior, he gets the treat. Pressure goes down. Oh, chew your food, big man. He lays down. I'm going to give him that reward. And then the next one. And that's going to happen when you train your puppy. Sometimes puppies and dogs rather get the food in their stomach than chew it properly before swallowing. So that happens. So we get a little pressure going up. Pay attention, big man. And then the food goes up. Free. Then reward. Again, pressure goes down, nice and slow. Free. And then reward. Good boy. Pressure goes up. Free. He's doing really well. Pressure goes down. I'm going to see if he can do this one without the help of the food. Free. Good boy. And let's try the sit without the help of the food. Sometimes when I'm doing the sit, he coughed up another piece. Sometimes when I'm doing the sit without the help of the food, I'm going to help with my body language a little bit. So I'm going to stand up. I could even do a little bit of encouragement, like, come on, puppy. Yeah, buddy, 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 buddy. You can do it. Come on. Come on, buddy, 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 buddy. Come on, come on. Free. Good job. Very nice. Very nice. He's a really good, smart puppy. Again, pressure down, nice and slowly. Free. Good boy. And then we're going to take him back up. Nice, slow, steady pressure. Come on, buddy. Come on. Come on. I'm helping him with the food this time. Free. Good. Now I'm going to do a little bit more, but kind of all over the place. So I'm going to guide him off. Free. Reward him there. I'm going to guide him into the sit again. Free. Reward him there. Guide him back onto the bed. Free. Reward him there. And something I like to get them comfortable with as well is using my foot to apply pressure on the leash. And this is so I don't have to bend over so much if I'm working larger dogs or older dogs. So I'm gonna take my foot and I'm gonna do slow pressure, nice and easy, same as if I was using my hand. And then I'm gonna help with the food. Once they lay down, free, reward. And I'm gonna bring him back up. He did it on his own, beautiful. Bring my foot up, again, nice and slow. Slow, steady pressure. And doing slow movements in the beginning with any sort of exercise that involves with any sort of exercise that involves pressure, it's gonna help the dog out because again, we wanna minimize the stress. Come on, buddy. And help him back up. Come on. And be patient with this exercise. Don't rush it. We wanna take our time. We wanna make sure, and he's getting tired. Let's bring him back up. Good. And then again, I'm gonna do my foot, bring the foot up. Slow, steady pressure, and then reward. Very nice, good boy.
Welcome back to another episode. Today we are going to start introducing the verbal command to our dogs. Now, if you've been following my channel, you've seen this in a few of the other ones, and it's something I talk about a lot. And it's known as pairing, or also known as overshadowing. This is the most common mistake that most people make when they start to give their dog the verbal command. So what they do is they say the verbal command at the exact same time they're given the physical cue. For example, they go sit or down. You may have done that yourself. Now, it's been scientifically proven that if you pair your physical with your verbal, the physical will override the verbal. Again, it's known as overshadowing. So if two things are presented to a dog at one time, whichever of those two is more relevant to the dog is going to be what they focus on, and they're going to completely ignore the other one. And our dogs notice physical movements way more or much easier than our verbals. So if you want your dog to know the verbal command, this is very important. The verbal command must come before the physical cue. So instead of saying sit as we lift or down as we point or heel, doesn't matter, we have to say that verbal before the physical. It has to be a predictable pattern. This is the same with our markers. Remember our markers, we say yes, then we reward. We say free or whatever word you choose, then we give that cue. So with our commands, we say sit, then we lift our hands. Down, then we present the cue. If you are pairing it together, your dog's not going to learn. Now, I have come across people where they taught their dog the verbal command even though they were pairing. And you might wonder, well, how are they able to do that if science has proven that you have to say the verbal before the physical cue? It's simple. They think their dog already knows it on the verbal command, so they look at their dog and they go sit. The dog doesn't sit, and then they go sit, then the dog sits. So the dog was learning the verbal command because it actually preceded the physical cue, even though they didn't know they were doing it that way. So you want to be aware of this. It should be broken down into 4 parts: command, motivate, mark, reward, on a timeline. Command comes first, then the physical cue comes next, then the marker, or you can give your dog the primary within a second. I've talked about this as well. And then if you've used the marker, then you follow it up with the primary. So we're gonna be demonstrating with little Spock here. He just got back from the vet clinic and he doesn't like car rides, so he drooled a little bit, but he's feeling better now. So we're gonna start doing the commands, and I'm gonna have you focus on one thing at a time, and then I'm gonna let you know what to focus on after we do each part. So it's gonna be broken down in a way that should be pretty easy to follow. So what I want you to pay attention is notice how I say the command, then I do the cue. I just want you to pay attention to that. And I'm gonna go through a few commands with Spock here. Now the physical cue that I'm going to be using is either going to be luring, or I might be using the leash pressure cue as well. I like to go back and forth between the two. And we're gonna do multiple different commands to make it as interesting as possible. So we're gonna get started right now. Good boy. So we give him a treat, get him started. Now notice I'm walking backwards. He's trying to get the food. I say sit, then I lift. Free, then I move. Sit, then I lift. And I drop the piece. Free, then I move. Good boy. Even from right here, I can give him the climb command. So I go climb, then the cue. Now, what helps a lot of people is to say what you're doing when you do it. So what I mean by that is say the command and then say what you're doing. So we can use the word now, for example. So I can go down, now. Free, reward. Come, now. Free, reward.
spin, now. Free, reward. Climb, now. Free, reward. Off, now. Free, reward. Now pay attention to when I'm saying the marker. I say the marker the moment he completes the behavior. I'm trying to pinpoint the completion of the behavior. Down, now. Free, reward. Off, now. Free, reward. I can use the leash pressure as well. Now remember, when we're using the leash, it's not really pressure. It's more like a leash cue. We're using the leash to help guide our dog into the position. So for example, if I'm using my foot, I'm not stepping on the leash and forcing him into the down position. I'm using it as a cue. So sit, now. Free, reward. Also right there I said free, and that's the terminal marker. He's conditioned to it, so he knows that free means release and reward. When we're first teaching the terminal marker free, we move back, encouraging the dog to come get it so they understand that concept. But once your dog's conditioned to it, you can do something like this. Down, cue, free, and just hand it to him because he knows it means release and reward. So if he wants to get up after he gets the treat, he can do that. Climb, then the cue. And I did not mark that one, that's okay. Sit, then the cue. Notice the leash didn't get tight when I used the cue because it's a cue. Oops, let's get that back to you, big guy. Sit, cue, free, reward. Down, then the cue. Oh, free. I didn't have to step on it. It's not force. The more we can communicate with our dog, the more techniques we have to communicate with our dog, the faster they're going to learn and the stronger the relationship is going to be. You don't want to ignore a technique as valuable as leash pressure simply because you think it's force when it's not. If you notice, I'm not using force to get him to do these things. It's just a cue. Sometimes I don't even have to place my foot on the leash because the dog has learned the process of going with that pressure. So we're going to do a couple more. And this is another big question I'm asked is, sit, when I'm training my dog, free, when I'm training my dog, am I just doing sitting down over and over again? No, because that would be kind of boring. We want to make it fun. So we want to do as many different things as possible. When I'm doing a session with a dog, I'm doing everything. I'm trying to make it fun. So we're going to incorporate these cones as well. It's in one of my other videos, and that's the around command, which helps with certain sports, but it's also fun just to work with the dog to give them more awareness of their own body. So now I'm not going to say now anymore, but when you're first starting, saying now after you say the command will help you with your timing. Because again, your mind and your body want to move at the exact same time. He's trying to offer up behaviors. I mean, think about it. However old you are, your entire life, you've been pairing your physical with your verbal, and now I'm telling you not to do something you've been practicing your entire life. For example, when you go to talk to your friends, let's say you're asking them to go to the movies, you go, hey guys, you want to go to the movies? Nobody does this. Hey guys, you want to go to the movies? It's not how we operate. So you have to go against what you've been practicing your whole life. So we're going to do a couple more. Come, then the cue. Free, then the reward. Around, then the cue. Free. Good. And sometimes I just like to have them go around these. Mark and reward. Good boy. Very nice. Good job. Backwards follow exercise, I might throw that in, giving them some rewards. Center, we're gonna throw the center command in, boom. And now let's walk and have them enjoy that center position. See if we can get a little bit of that prancing. By holding the food slightly higher, sometimes you can get that prance. Now we can throw in a down, then the cue, free, reward, good. Spin, cue, free, reward, heel, cue. Whoa, I messed up. Come on, buddy. We're this way. Now I got him in heel position. I can give him lots of rewards for maintaining that. Sit, then the cue. Down, cue, free, reward. All done, buddy. And when we finish a session, sometimes it's nice to let them know that you're done. And if you do it like this, if you do it correctly, you're going to find that your dog is going to start beating you into the positions before you give that physical cue. So you'll be standing there, and you got your dog motivated, ready to learn, and you say down, and your dog goes down before you present the physical cue. Boom, now you know you have it on verbal. But if you don't do it this way,
If you go sit, down, if you do that, your dog will never learn the verbal command, and you will always have to use the physical cue. So one of the things I like to do to test how good the dog knows the verbal command is I will place him on a climb platform, climb, and then he's not at this point, but I would stand looking away and I give the dog the commands. And I want to see if the dog can perform the commands without me actually presenting a physical cue. And I'm going to give you a quick little demonstration with my dog Ari. Down, stand, sit, spin, center, free, yay! And remember, it goes command, motivate, mark, reward. And each one has to be separated by a split second on the timeline. They can't be together. So we say down, then we cue our dog. Free, and then we reward. Climb, then the cue. Free, then the reward. Off, then the cue. Free, reward. Spin, then the cue, free, reward. Center, then the cue, free, reward. Heel, then the cue, free, a little early on the free there, then reward. Down, then the cue, free, reward. Stand, then the cue, free, reward. Sit, then the cue, free, reward. Sit, cue, free, reward. You see how it's separated. If you had a timeline, you'd see the command down, then you'd see the physical cue would be next, then the marker free, and then the reward. So each one is separated. What most people do, the most common mistake is people pair their physical with their verbal. They pair the command and motivate. They go down, right? And then they say free and they reward at the exact same time. We want to make sure that we separate it. Because if we do it incorrectly, it still almost looks like we're doing it correct. So for example, this is incorrect. Climb, free, off, free. And that's what most people do. B, all right. So I'm gonna go back to doing it correctly. Down, cue, free, reward. Sit, cue, free, reward. Spin, cue, free, reward. Sit, cue, heel, cue, free, reward. Climb, cue, and remember, I'm not worried about perfect precision since it's service dog training, not competition obedience. Off, cue, free, reward. Center, cue, free, reward. Down, cue, free, reward. Sit, cue, free, reward. Good girl. Spin, cue, free, reward. Climb, cue, free, reward. Now, when we first want to start naming it, we put our dog in the sit position and we say, come, and then we go right back into the backwards follow exercise. And always stopping the backwards follow exercise by bringing our dog back into a sit. So then we can take a little step back, hands down, come, cue the dog. Good, nice job. Get them used to walking with the leash attached too. Unless you're training inside, but a lot of times I like to have the leash just in case I need it. Again, we stop, we lift up, yes, reward, build a little bit more distance, come, then the cue. Good, very nice. Excellent, my little man, come on buddy. Don't get distracted. None of that ADD kicking in. And then again, we stop, lift up. Yes, reward. Build a little more distance. Come, then the cue. Good. So you see, everything has the exact same process, right? We teach the physical, then we name it. Build a little more distance. Come, then the cue. Good boy. And if you're doing competitive obedience, this is going to be the same. So if you're working with a young German Shepherd or Dutch Shepherd or Malinois or something like that. We can place them into the position, call them to us, come. Sometimes I might move a little faster if I want to increase the dog's speed. Free. Good. Nice job, buddy. Nice job. Place them back into the sit. Build a little bit of distance. And notice I'm not using the actual sit command. We're just using physical cues at this part, but then the command for the come. So if he breaks it, it's not a big deal. Come, then the cue. Good boy. And you're going to quickly see that you will say come, and your dog's going to start running directly to you to get into that sit front position in order to get that reward. And we just keep doing it, and we start to make our physical cue less and less as we call the dog. When they start to understand it, then I may use the physical cue if I think the dog needs it. So if I'm walking backwards, or rather if I'm standing there and I say come, and my dog starts to come to me, and I notice my dog looks like she or he is going to go to the right side or the left side, I might adjust and help them, right? Or I might call them and just do a little bit of a cue. But we want to get to the point where we can call our dog, just stand there, and they'll come directly into the sit front position. And if you do this correctly, you'll be able to get to that point in your training. Now, let me show you how to do this with the leash pressure. So very similar. We're going to take our dog, swing our dog around, place our dog into the sit, get at the end of our leash, come, and then we're going to guide our dog with the leash. Good boy. Got him where we want him. Yes. And then reward. And you get to determine the level of precision with your obedience if you're just doing basic pet training. So again, come. I can guide him with the leash, and I can reward him. Come on, buddy. Chew your food, little man. I can just reward him when he comes to me. Whatever you want the end picture to look like. Some people are okay with the dog just running into their area. So you match whatever it is that you want from your dog. Okay? So again, we place him into the sit, and I'm just using the leash, very similar to how we did it using the reward-based training. Keep my hands down, come, then I guide my dog. Good boy, very nice. And then place the dog into a sit, yes, and then reward. Sit as I step away, come, then the cue, good. And then let's bring it back up, yes, and then reward. That's going to be how we're going to teach the come when called climb using reward-based training or pressure-based training. Both of them work. Use the one that works best for you and your dog. Sit, repeat the sit command, take a step away, build a little bit of distance, come, and then use the cue, yes, reward. Come, and then right back, so she's going to my hand, so I'm not going to reward her there. Bring my hands behind my back if I need to. Yes. Sit. Come. Yes. Good girl. Sit. Build a little more distance. Come. Come. Yes, reward. And each time, we're trying to place our dog in the best position possible. And every time I'm doing this, I'm looking more towards competitive obedience. If you're not competing with your dog, you don't need them to be in perfect position that I'm demonstrating here. If you're happy with your dog simply coming to you to get a reward, then just do that. Come. Yay, nice job. And you can give them the reward. You can make it as formal or as informal as you would like it to be. Free. Good girl. Come. Then I give the cue. And I walk backwards. Come. Then the cue. Come. Then the cue. And once my dog gets better at that, what I want to do is I want to start building distance. I like to use the climb. Again, it's one of the easier commands to reinforce a stay. So just to make it easier on the dog and easier on the training process, the more successful your dog is, the faster they're going to learn. So now I just create a little bit of distance, and I do the exact same thing. Hands down at my side to kind of give them that normal picture. Come, then the cue. Yes,
reward. Climb. I'm gonna guide them back on the climb. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit more distance. Same thing, hands down at the side. Come, then the cue. Yes, reward. Climb. I'm gonna guide him back onto the climb. Good boy. Sit. Yes. Now this time I'm gonna see how he's gonna do if I don't bring in my hands to help him out. I'm gonna stand right here. Come. He needs a little bit of help. Yes, reward. So we can help them when we think that they need help, or you can see that they need help, but you can see all we're doing, climb, is we're building distance by showing the dog the picture they already understand. Come. Yes, and then come, then the cue. You got a little confused there, it's okay. Come, then the cue. Yes, then the reward. Come, then the cue. Yes, then the reward. Come, and then just like the other dogs, we'll build a little bit of distance. Sit. Now. Come, then the cue. It's not always going to be perfect. Make sure you adjust if your dog makes mistakes. It's no big deal. Come. Good. Free. All right, in today's video, we're going to be introducing the stay command. Remember, I do not use the word stay. Once I place a dog into a verbal commanded position, it is required that they maintain that position. All right, and it's going to be very simple. What we're going to do is we're going to command her onto the position. I always start with the climb command when I'm first teaching a stay. Each climb command, or each stay command rather, has a different level of difficulty than the other one. So for example, the climb command for me, in my experience, is the easiest stay to teach. Then the next one would be the down. Then after that, maybe the sit. And then the stand stay, or the heel stay, or the center stay. They become more difficult depending on what exercise we're doing. So I always like to start with the climb stay. The higher the climb is, the easier it is for the dog to understand that that's the position you want them to maintain. So this is how I'm going to do it. And I do the same way with every single stay command that I'm teaching the dog. I place them in the position. I use my continuation marker if we're rewarding the behavior, because I want them to continue the exercise. So in her case, it's going to be the yes word. Then I'm going to walk away. As long as the dog stays in the position, I'm going to reinforce it by saying yes and rewarding the dog with a piece of food. So instead of saying stay a bunch of times as I walk away, I'm going to walk away casually, or how I would if I was normally walking. And then I'm going to go back and reward the dog by using my continuation marker. You'll see exactly what I mean. If my dog, or if Harley, breaks the position, I say one no. I calmly walk back to her. Jesus. She bumped the camera. I say one no. I calmly walk back to her. I grab the leash and I place her back on the climb stay. And I will do this as many times as it takes. When we're doing this, we want to make sure that we're not yelling, we're not getting excited, we're not running towards the dog. I want to make sure that my dog is at a clear mental state. I don't want them to be startled by what I'm doing. So I want to make sure it's a very calm, relaxed training session. And that's going to help them learn more quickly. So you'll see exactly what I mean right now when I started with Harley. And I've never done a stay with her yet. So Harley, come here, baby. Harley. Yay, very nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell her, climb, then the cue, yes. So I use yes this time and not free. So if she maintains it, yes, I'm going to reward her by using continuation marker. No. So there's my one no. I grab the leash, I bring her back on. Good girl. Now, when the dog breaks the position and I put them back on, I don't reward them right away. I want to wait a few seconds before I reward them like I just now did. Because if you reward them right away, some dogs will learn, break the position, yes, get back on, get a treat. Break the position, get placed back on, get a treat. So I don't want to reward them right away, meaning like right now. I wouldn't want to reward her because then she might offer up the mistake of breaking the position in order to get rewarded. So you see what I'm doing? I'm saying no as she breaks the position, calmly grabbing the leash, bringing her back on. Good girl, letting her know she's doing it correctly. If I have her staying, yes, then I can use my continuation marker and reward. No. One no when she makes a mistake, bring her back on. Good girl. When I no. I also like to no. And you're gonna have it where they're gonna break a few times. And I also like to do it when I drop the leash. Yes, then I reward. Yes, no. A no can override a yes. So if you say no, if you say yes and your dog breaks the position, don't reward them then. No. And the reason why I like to do it this way is I like the dog to learn, no, their best course of action when they break a position, yes. Oh, see, I rewarded too early. I got distracted talking, so don't make that mistake. But I want the dog to learn when I say no, yes, their best course of action is to either stop what they're doing or go back to the previous position. Yes, good girl. So she's already starting to figure it out. Yes, no. 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 And you should sound like a broken record when you say no. It should sound the same just like everything else. We want our words to be as consistent as possible. Yes. Good girl. Very nice. No. Good. The most important thing, no, with dog training is clear communication as well as trust. Yes. She shouldn't be afraid of me when I say the word no. All it is, no, it's just letting her know I'm going to come back and I'm going to place her back in the position she was just in. Yes, very nice. Yes, good girl. No. Also notice I don't repeat the word no. I don't say no, no, no a bunch of times. Because I want the dog to know that when I say no, I'm pinpointing a moment in time when the dog has made a mistake. If I keep saying the word, then what am I pinpointing? If the dog breaks the position and I say no, and the dog tries to correct themselves and I say no again, I'm like, well, that's incorrect, and they try this, no, 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 and they become stressed out. We want to make sure that we say it, yes, the moment they make one mistake, and then we help them fix that mistake. Yes, no. Boom, now she's starting to go back into the position. And that's exactly what we want. Good girl, very nice. Good job. Yes, that's my good, sweet girl. And again, each time I walk away, no. And this is all about showing her a very, very clear picture. We got the leash on her. You get that fixed? Yes. Good girl. Looks like she has a little bandana on. Or not bandana, yes, one of those little workout straps. Good girl. No. Good. Yes. Yes. Same thing with the yes when I'm walking away. I like to say yes, then I turn and I come back and I reward the dog. I don't want to get into a habit of walking towards the dog and saying yes. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go yes. Because me turning then becomes the cue. I want my marker to be the indicator, yes, that the behavior is correct, and then I walk back and reward. No. All right, so she's starting to figure out that she needs to fix herself, yes, after I say the word no. And you see, this isn't creating any stress, there's no confusion, there's no anxiety. Yes, she knows exactly now, not exactly, but she's getting there, what I want her to do. And it's as simple as her, yes, maintaining that position. And I'm just gonna keep rewarding her for holding that position. No. Good girl.
Yes. So once I have this down and she knows that she needs to maintain this position, then I would take the stay to the next exercise, which would be the down. Once I get the down really nice, the next one I would do is the sit, so on and so forth. We want to go through each commanded exercise, and because, yes, she starts to understand the concept on the first exercise, it makes the more difficult stays easier to teach because you've already laid the foundation, yes, with the climb stay. So again, all done. All done, baby, break. Come on, come on, come on. Now you want to stay there? Come on, good girl. Look how good it works. Come on, baby. Good girl, very nice. So those are the things you want to keep in mind with this exercise. You want to make sure your dog knows the continuation marker. You want to make sure you can get them back into the commanded position by using the leash. And then you want to just be very calm, relaxed. And you can use whatever word you like. If you don't like to say the word no, some people say wrong, some people say incorrect, some people say or whatever it is. As long as you're consistent with that sound, then it should be pretty easy for your dog to learn what it is you want them to do. So that's going to be our stay command.
The next portion of the training is really simple and it's a lot of fun. We're going to place a harness on our dogs and we're going to allow them to pull and explore their environment. This is a very important step in the training process because if we take our dogs out the very first time and we expect them to walk nicely on a loose leash, there's going to be more of a battle because you're going to be competing up against all these other distractions within the environment. So we want to go out there, we want to let our dogs pull, we want to let them get that out of their system, so then the obedience portion of the training is going to be that much easier. All right, now that we've given him some time to explore the neighborhood, what I'm going to be doing in this step is simply getting him to respond to the leash pressure now that we're in the front and we're walking around the neighborhood. So I have the harness in case he does try to pull, but the goal is I want him to respond to the pressure that I place on the leash that's attached to his collar. So I'm going to start to pull a little bit. Once he responds and turns my way, I'm going to mark and reward. Free. Good boy. Very good. And again, all I want him to do is to respond to the pressure on the leash. So I pull. Free. Good. And I'm using his terminal marker. Free. Good job, buddy. Very good. And so now you can already see he's very focused on me. He's had time to explore the neighborhood, so now it's not this crazy new exciting thing. That's one of the biggest issues that people run into. They start to work with their dog, then they take their dog out into an environment with a ton of distractions, and then they wonder why their dog's not listening. We have to build the dog up. So by exposing them to the environment, giving them an opportunity to see it, is gonna make it to where it's not so exciting that they're going crazy when you're trying to do the training. And it's gonna make this part much easier. So again, all we're doing on this part is we're out in front and we're just getting him to respond to the pressure on the leash. Once he responds, we mark and reward. Good boy. Free. Good. And he's kind of finding the heel position now on his own, which is excellent. So during this step, your main goal is to get your dog to respond to the pressure on the leash and to get the focus from your dog. Once you do that, we're gonna take this skill on an actual walk. So let's go ahead and do that right now. All right, now we got Cash here and we're ready to take him on a walk. I'm gonna say heel, then I'm going to step. If he starts to pull, I'm gonna stop him with the harness first, then I'm gonna use the leash pressure to guide him back into the correct position. This is especially helpful for those dogs that really like to pull because it's gonna help prevent them from pulling too hard on their neck. So we're using the harness again to stop them from moving forward. Then we use the leash pressure with the collar to guide them back into the correct position. Then we mark and reward. Make sure the pressure on the harness starts first. We're actually teaching them that the pressure from the harness is going to predict the pressure from the collar. So eventually the dog's gonna respond on just the harness alone. So if you wanted to continue to walk your dog on a harness and not a collar, you'd be able to do that after teaching them this technique. So again, we're gonna bring him back into the heel position. Good boy. Tell him to sit. And then we're gonna say heel and off we go. Again, if he goes ahead of me, which he's not doing yet, he's doing well. Stop him with the harness, bring him back. Good boy. And then he's back in position. So now I'm gonna demonstrate just how it's gonna look if I was out here training him by myself. So keep in mind the details that I was explaining earlier. So we're going to walk. Free. Good boy, buddy. Nice job. Very good. If he's not paying attention, I'm also going to sneak out of heel position. There's the pressure. Good. Good boy. Very nice. So you can see this doesn't create any sort of stress. It's a very easy, very comfortable walk for the dog. There's the pressure. Oh, see, now he's already responding to just the pressure on the harness. And that's really what I want to see while I'm doing this step. If you don't want, sit. So what this is doing, it's actually teaching him not to pull while he has a harness on. And again, I use this technique for dogs that really pull a lot and pull very hard because I don't want them to choke themselves. However, if you want your dog to pull on a harness, let's say you're exercising your dog or you're running your dog, whatever, and you want him to pull, then you don't want to do this because it's actually teaching him not to pull even with the harness. So if you want your dog to pull when they have a harness, then you're going to do this exact same step, but you're just going to use the collar. You're not going to use the harness the way that I'm using it. All right, so let's go right back into it. Heel, and then we step. Good boy, buddy. Good boy. Yes, good job, my little man. And if he's doing well, if he's maintaining position, yes, I can mark and reward him right here. Good. Very good, buddy. Very good. Yes. Good job. Sit. Yes. And the nice thing is, if you teach your dog leash pressure, when you take your dog on a walk, you can start implementing basic obedience as well. So I could even tell him to down, then do the cue with the leash pressure. Yes. No. So he broke the position. So I said one no. Use the leash pressure, put him back in the position. No. Good boy. Sit. Yes. Nice job. And then we're going to step right back out on the walk. Hey, up here. Heel. Then we step. Good boy. Very good. And if he's doing well, again, we can... Oh, good job. You got me, buddy. That's what I want. I want the dog to catch me trying to sneak out of the heel position. We always want to make training fun, and we want to make it a game. Yes. Good boy. So again, both are nice and loose. Good boy. Oh, he sees a birdie. Good boy, buddy. Once he realized he wasn't able to get to the bird, he knew he had to respond to the leash pressure, so he turned around and went back into the correct position. If you go to apply pressure and your dog doesn't turn around, then you can correct for that. Meaning, if I pull on the leash and he's not responding to it, I could say no, pop the leash, and then apply the leash pressure again. He doesn't really need that, so I'm not doing that. We got a cat up ahead, so I'm curious if he's going to respond to the cat. All right, here we go. Heel, and then we step. Again, making sure we say heel before we step. If he goes ahead, the pressure on the harness first. Good boy. Bring him back into heel, and then we go back into the walk. Excellent. Nice job, buddy. Very good. So there we go, and bring him back. All right. Yes. Good boy. Very good. Sit. Heel. Good boy. Excellent work, buddy. Good. Again, he's responding with just the harness now at this point. Sit. Good job. Down. Yes. No. So he broke the position, so 1 no, and then I place him back into the position. And so he's distracted right now, and it's just a matter of waiting him out. A lot of times if the dog doesn't do what the person wants right away, then they get excited or they start repeating the command or they get frustrated. You just wait them out. Sit, and then we bring them back up. Heel, and then we step. Good boy. So even with those distractions, he still did pretty good. Here's the pressure on the harness. Good, and we bring him back. All right, nice job. Excellent. All right, so we're gonna keep doing this for maybe another 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna switch to the next step. Now that he's been doing a really nice job walking on a loose leash with the assistance of the harness, now I'm ready for the next step. We could take the harness off entirely. I'm not too worried about that right now. Basically, I'm going to be doing exactly what I was doing before, but now I'm just going to be using the leash with the martingale collar. When he starts to go ahead of me, we have 2 options. We can say they're condition correction, so a no, like I was using earlier when he broke the downstay, or we can recommand the position we would like the dog to be in. So he goes ahead of us, we can say heel, and we can bring him back, praise and reward him, or he goes ahead of us and we can say no, or or phooey, or wrong, and bring him back. Whatever you want to do. It really doesn't matter to the dog because it's literally the exact same thing to the dog. We're saying a word, then we're reinforcing what we're expecting our dog to do. So pick and choose which one you feel most comfortable with and go from there. What I'm going to be doing with him is I'm going to be saying no. I'm going to keep it nice and simple. All right, so we're going to start and we're going to say heel, and then we're going to step. If he's doing well, good boy, nice job. Yes, mark and reward. And again, this is right after walking him with the harness. Good. And yes, when they look up at me, I like to mark and reward that. If they get distracted, oh, I got you. I make it a game. Oh, I'm going to get you again. Very nice, buddy. Yes. We always, like I said, I can't stress it enough. We always want to make it fun and interesting for our dogs. So he's doing very well. If he looks up at me, yes, I can help him out by making some silly noises. But that's just showing him, hey, if you look at me, I'm going to pay you for it. And if they look at us, they're less likely to fall out of heel position. Oh, I got you again. And he's a goofy lab puppy. Good boy. Yes. And like I said, the nice thing about implementing leash pressure is while we're on a walk with our dog, good. Yes, we can start implementing commands. Every time I take a dog on a walk, I don't just take the dog on the walk. I like to reinforce everything that I've been teaching the dog while at home. Sit, so we can use the sit. We can keep them in a sit stay if we want. We can call them to us, so I can go, come, bring them to me, sit. That wasn't the best come, but we'll take it. Heel, step back off on the walk, good job. So it's not just me walking on my phone, talking to my friend, not paying attention to my dog. We're actually hanging out together. We're communicating with one another, and we're working together on the same team. He's starting to go ahead. Oh, he got me before I even applied the pressure. And that's what we want. We want him to start noticing if we sneak out of heel position. Good. Yes. Excellent. Nice job, buddy. Very good. And so, like I said, he's already doing no. Good boy. So I'm going to start adding that no. I haven't been doing that. No. Then we, good. And he's responding to just the no. Excellent. In order for your dog to respond to the no, you have to make sure that no comes before you apply pressure. Excellent work, Cash. Very nice. So you can see how loose the leash is. Another common mistake that people make is the dog will start to go forward slowly and the human keeps walking forward. The moment I notice the dog is not paying attention to me, no, I walk out of their heel position, I say no, then I reinforce what I'm asking the dog to do. And again, we have to make sure our no comes before we apply the pressure. No. So there we go. I said the no. I bring him back. And you see when I say no, he's not worried that I'm saying the word no because he doesn't know what no means in the dictionary. He doesn't have a dictionary that he's looking at. It just means whatever it predicts. So in this situation, the no predicts no, me going, yeah, come on, buddy, right back here. So it doesn't mean anything bad to him. Sit.
Good boy, very nice. Heel, and then we step. So you can see, just by working with him and communicating to him clearly, we're able to show him what we want, no, and what we expect from him without creating any sort of conflict or avoidance. It's a very easy, simple way to teach our dogs. So again, they go ahead, no, then we apply the pressure, we bring them back, come on buddy, you got an itch? You got it itchy? And then we go right back into the walk. If you have a dog that continues to go ahead, and you've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these, and he continues to go ahead and pull, you can give your dog a leash pop or a correction for going ahead. So I'm going to show you an example of what it would look like, and the correction level will change according to the dog. So some dogs may need a slightly higher correction, some dogs a lower correction. So I'm going to demonstrate with him, and he's a very compliant dog, so this isn't really going to be a correction, but I just want you to see what I mean. Heel, and then we step. So if he goes ahead, I go, no, pop, and then I bring him back. Good boy. So you see it's a little snap, gives the dog a quick correction, then we go right back into the walk, and we're having a good time. Sit. Good job, buddy. Heel. The main thing is, make sure you guys are patient with this one. It could take a lot of reps, and you may find yourself walking with your dog on the harness for a week or so before transitioning to just the leash. It's really going to depend on your timing and, of course, the level of compliancy and intelligence and motivation that your dog has. Remember, the science is always the same. What varies between each dogs are going to be things like their intelligence and their motivation, their temperament, their disposition, and that's where the art of dog training comes in. And since we're on the subject, it's important to mention that each dog in training should be in one of 3 stages for each command. First stage is when the dog still needs the physical cue to complete the behavior. Basically, the dog is still not able to do the behavior on the command alone. If you're on this stage, then you're still on continual reinforcement. The next stage is when your dog is able to do the behavior on the command alone. When you first enter this stage, you'll do one of 2 things when your dog does the commanded behavior. Either you'll still mark and reward, or you'll give your dog verbal praise such as, good boy, nice job. After doing this for a few weeks, you'll move on to the final stage of rewards. For each correct behavior, you'll do one of 3 options. Either you'll mark and reward, you'll give verbal praise, or you won't say anything at all, no reward. This is the goal for each command, that your dog can perform the requested commands but doesn't always need to be rewarded for each correct repetition. Part of being a dog owner is knowing what to do in any situation. This includes accidents or unforeseen illnesses. For us dog lovers, dogs are not just our pets, they're family. And we want to be able to provide the best care possible for them so they can live a long and happy life. If you're like me, then having pet insurance for your dogs is a must. I personally use and trust Prudent Pet Insurance for all my dogs. As Prudent Pet says, when it comes to your pet's well-being, you shouldn't have to check with your bank account first. With Prudent Pet, you can customize the plan to your pet's need. They are rated #1 pet insurance on Trustpilot. They have unlimited 24/7 veterinarian chat on all policies. They have lightning fast claims processing powered by AI, of course with a final human check, and they have a 30-day money-back guarantee. Prudent Pet is the ultimate option to make sure your 4-legged family member is covered and protected. Plus, if you sign up through my link, you'll get 5% off. In today's video, we'll be going over my obedience and behavioral modification flowchart. Well, it's not a flowchart in the traditional sense, but it is a step-by-step process that will help give you a very clear picture of what you need to do regardless of the obedience or behavioral issue that you're running into. Before moving forward, let's quickly discuss the meaning behind some of the words I'll be using in this video. If I say anything about corrections, I'm referring to a correction implemented with a training collar, such as a leash pop on a martingale or prong collar, or a stimulation from a remote training collar. Yes equals reward, which is positive reinforcement. Free equals release and reward, again, positive reinforcement. Wrong equals leash pressure, negative reinforcement. No equals a correction, positive punishment, and break just equals a release. Now,
let's check out the flow chart so you understand how it works and where to get access to it. First, you can find the link to the chart in the description of this video. Just click on the link next to Obedience and Behavioral Modification Flowchart. The other option is through my website, nateschomer.com. On the homepage, you'll see a logo with the words Dog Training in bold with Obedience and Behavioral Modification Training Plan. Click here below it. When you click on that link, it'll take you to the flowchart. Now, if you notice, you'll see questions that are in bold font. These refer to the possible issues that you may be having. You'll also see option 1 and option 2 underlined. Option 1 will be for those of you that prefer not to give your dog any kind of correction. For option 2, we'll be implementing a correction to stop the undesired behavior. When it comes to working with our dogs, we have two main issues to work through: obedience issues and behavioral issues. We'll start with behavioral issues. The first one, is your dog practicing a dangerous or destructive behavior? If yes, then we have two options. Option 1, prevent the dog from practicing the behavior, meaning you have to either put up some sort of boundary or barrier, or you have to stop the dog every time they do the behavior until they eventually stop trying. For example, if your dog chews on furniture, you either have to stop the dog every time they chew on the furniture, or you can prevent the dog from even getting to the furniture. In addition, you could use something like Dog's Bitter Apple No Chew Spray, but I prefer to go with option 2, which is you can use a correction immediately to stop dangerous or destructive behaviors. For example, if your dog digs, then you can correct that behavior out of your dog's repertoire, but you have to be sure to correct your dog when they are digging, not hours after the hole has already been dug. Next is the behavior based on fear. If yes, then you'll want to implement counter conditioning and desensitization. Click on that blue link to learn how. Is the behavior based on aggression? Aggression is a very complicated issue, so I made a video dedicated to that subject. Just click on the video link to see that episode. Is it a behavior you just don't want the dog to perform, such as jumping up on furniture or going into an unauthorized room, such as a baby's room or an office? If yes, then have you already trained your dog and conditioned them to the continuation and terminal marker? If not, watch the two videos below and teach your dog the markers. And don't just skip to the last step. If you want to be successful with your dog, then it's essential to make sure that you do the required training for each step of the training process. Here's an analogy to put it into perspective. If you stepped on glass and cut your foot open, you wouldn't just put a Band-Aid on it and call it a day. No, you would remove the glass, clean and stitch the wound, and then you would put on the bandage. It's the same when we're working with our dogs. We have to be sure to complete each step before moving on to the next one. Now, if your dog is already conditioned to the markers, or after you've taught your dog the markers, then we can move on to the next step. Does the dog know and understand how to follow a lure? If yes, move on to the next question. If no, then watch the 3 videos below and teach your dog how to effectively follow a lure. Once that's completed, does your dog know and understand leash pressure? If yes, move on to the next question. If not, then watch these 2 videos and teach your dog leash pressure. Before moving on, you want to make sure that your dog is so conditioned to the leash pressure that your dog will respond before there is any pressure on the leash. This is why I often say that it should be called a leash cue instead. Check out this video I made for a client a few months back to see what I mean.
All right, so basically what I was telling you guys about when we were having our session is the telegraphing or letting your dog know what you're about to do. So watch, for example, how I do the come and call using the leash pressure. I start to walk out the leash. See, that cues him to come and follow. Same thing when I start to lift up. You see how he's doing it before? Okay, now he's a little slow on that one, but watch how I walk up the leash. This is letting him know I'm about to do the leash pressure. Just like lifting my foot up is letting him know I'm about to do the leash pressure. Same thing when I walk back, slowly walking up the leash, good, to cue him on what I want him to do. So by telegraphing the leash pressure, it makes it much easier for your dog to learn and respond correctly to that pressure. This is how I like a dog to respond to the leash pressure before I start correcting them for refusing to respond to the leash pressure. One more time. If it's further down, I'm lifting my leg up. The dog sees that and responds. I start walking up the leash and walking towards the dog to get him to sit, walking back and walking up the leash to come to me. So super simple.
Has a dog been taught that the behavior is not okay with leash pressure? If not, then watch the 3 videos below to learn how. If yes, then you can implement either option 1 or 2. Option 1, continue using leash pressure to prevent the dog from practicing the behavior or prevent the possibility of the dog practicing the behavior. Option 2, you can use corrections to stop these behaviors. For example, if your dog jumps on the sofa, the moment they jump on the sofa, you would say no, and then you would correct your dog with the training collar. After the correction, you will give the command you want your dog to perform, such as off. If your dog still doesn't perform the behavior, you will then use leash pressure to remove the dog from the couch. Now for obedience issues. The first and most common is your dog refusing to perform a commanded behavior. If yes, then does the dog know his continuation and terminal marker? If not, then watch these videos. If yes, does the dog know and understand how to follow a lure? If not, then watch these videos. If yes, then does your dog know and understand leash pressure? If not, watch these videos. If yes, then have you taught your dog the verbal command by saying the command first and then presenting the physical cue? Meaning, your dog will perform the behavior on the verbal command alone, and you no longer have to assist with the physical cue. If not, then watch these videos. If yes, then move on to option 1 or option 2. Option 1, when the dog chooses not to perform the command within the first second, say wrong, then use the leash pressure to make the dog comply. Option 2, if you give your dog a command and they choose not to perform that command, the moment they decide they aren't going to execute the command, you will say no, and then you will correct your dog with the training collar. After the correction, you will give the command to your dog again. If your dog still doesn't perform the behavior, you will then use the leash pressure or luring to place your dog into that position. And last but not least, does your dog refuse to stay in a commanded stay? If yes, then does the dog know his continuation and terminal marker? If not, watch these videos. If yes, does the dog know and understand how to follow a lure? If not, watch these videos. If yes, then does the dog know and understand leash pressure? If not, watch these videos. If yes, then have you taught the verbal command for the position the dog is in, such as a sit stay? The dog must know the sit command on the verbal.
Sit.
By saying the command first and then presenting the physical cue. Meaning, your dog will perform the behavior on the verbal command alone, and you no longer have to assist the dog with the physical cue. If not, then watch these videos. If yes, then has the dog been taught that breaking the stay is not allowed with leash pressure? If not, then watch these videos. If yes, then if your dog breaks a stay and you say wrong, does your dog freeze in place or go back to the previous position? If not, then continue the last step until your dog does. If yes, then you move on to option 1 or option 2. Option 1, when your dog breaks the position, you will calmly say wrong, casually walk to your dog, grab the leash, and use the leash pressure to place your dog back into the position that was just broken. Once your dog is back into the desired position, you will praise and pet your dog. Petting is optional, but don't give your dog a treat or toy reward. The reason for this is that some dogs will break the position on purpose so they can get the reward when placed back into the stay position. Option 2, when your dog breaks the position, you will say no, but instead of using leash pressure, you'll give your dog a correction with the training collar, even if the dog goes back into the position on their own. After you give the physical correction, you will then command your dog back into the position that was just broken. If your dog fails to do it on their own after the correction, you will assist them with the leash pressure or luring. You don't want to continue to correct a dog for the same mistake over and over again. Once your dog is back into the desired position, you will praise and pet your dog. Again, petting is optional, but just like last time, don't give your dog a toy or a treat reward. The reason for this is that some dogs will break the position on purpose so they can get the reward when placed back into the stay command. I hope everyone enjoys today's video and it proves to be helpful. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. If you have any questions, Feel free to ask those in the comment section as well. If you want to support the channel, you can by liking, subscribing, becoming a patron, or shopping at my online store. All the links will be in the description of this video. And last but not least, if you need one-on-one help, I do provide Zoom training sessions. You can find the information for that in the description as well. Thanks again, and I will see everyone in next week's video.